Your AI forgets everything. And you're stuck doing the same thing over and over like Groundhog Day, but less funny and way more annoying. What if there was an AI that actually remembered? One that got smarter every day, built its own skills, and ran your business in the background while you slept? There is. It's called Hermes Agent. It's free. It's open source. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to set it up and use it to automate your entire business from scratch. And today, I'm giving you the full course, step by step. Zero to running your own self-improving AI agent that automates real tasks for your business. This is not theory. This is not fluff. This is the actual thing. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to install Hermes, set it up, connect it to Telegram or Discord, build your first automation, and start running AI workflows that actually save you hours every single week.
Hey, if we haven't met already, I'm the digital avatar of Julian Goldie, CEO of SEO agency Goldie Agency. Whilst he's helping clients get more leads and customers, I'm here to help you get the latest AI updates. Julian Goldie reads every comment, so make sure you comment below.
How to make Hermes Agent 100x better in one click. You are wasting hours setting up AI agents that forget everything the next day. You give them context. You train them on your workflow. You spend an afternoon getting it right. And then tomorrow, gone. Back to zero. Free. Single. Time. Because people don't know, there's an agent that actually remembers, that gets smarter the longer you use it, that builds its own skills from your work. And you can run it completely free. I'm going to show you exactly how, and one thing you can do right now that makes it dramatically more capable in one click. Hermes Agent is an open source autonomous AI agent built by Noose Research, the same lab behind the Hermes, Nomos, and Psyche model families. Here's what makes it different. Every other agent you've tried is basically a chatbot with extra steps. You ask it something, it answers. You start a new session, it forgets everything. You're stuck re-explaining your projects, your preferences, your tech stack every single time. Hermes has a built-in learning loop. It creates skills from experience. It improves those skills every time it uses them. It searches its own past conversations, and it builds a model of who you are and how you work across every session. That's the thing most people miss. And there's a lot more under the hood. I'll show you exactly what in a minute. How to install Hermes for free. This works on Linux, macOS, and WSL2 on Windows. Native Windows is not currently supported. The only thing you need installed first is Git and command, and the installer handles everything else. Python 3.11, Node.js, all dependencies, and the Hermes command itself. Open your terminal and run. Curl, FSSL, HTTPS, SOTS, raw, GitHub, usercontent.com, Nouse Research, Hermes Agent main scripts install, Eshcas, bash, manual configuration, fighting with Python versions. Once done, run Hermes setup to choose your model provider. Options include Noose Portal, which uses OAuth, so zero config, Open Router, which gives you access to over 200 models and just needs an API key, or your own endpoint for local models. You can switch anytime with Hermes model, no code changes needed. What to expect in the first 7 days. Don't use Hermes like a regular chatbot on day one. That's where most people go wrong. The first few sessions is learning. The agent is building your memory.mds, a file it maintains with your project context, conventions, and preferences. It's also building user.md, a model of how you communicate and what you care about. These get injected into the system prompt at the start of every session. By day 3 or 4, it already knows your projects, knows where you left off, knows your preferences without you repeating yourself. Give it real, complex tasks. Because the agent creates new skills automatically after complex tasks, typically those involving 5 or more tool calls. The more you put it to work on real problems, the more capable it gets. When I first started exploring tools like this, it was overwhelming. Hard to know which workflows actually save time versus which ones just sound good on paper. That's why I built a community called AI Profit Boardroom. We're over 2,000 members, all focused on learning AI tools together and sharing what actually works, real use cases, real implementations, real feedback. If you're serious about using AI to improve your work, check it out. Link in the description. Difference between day 1 and day 7 is real. Here's the part I promised at the start. One-click upgrade, community skill files. Skills are the core of what makes Hermes different. Every skill is a folder inside Hermes skills on your machine. Each skill has a skill.md file, a structured markdown document that tells the agent exactly how to handle a specific type of task. Hermes comes bundled with over 40 skills out of the box, covering MLOps, GitHub workflows, research, and more. The agent also creates skills on its own from your work. But the fastest way to level it up is to install community skills from the Skills Hub. There's a GitHub repository called Awesome Hermes Agent by 0xMYK that curates the best skills, tools, and integrations for the Hermes ecosystem. The recommended starting point is a library called Wanderlei Skills, over 250 stars, actively maintained, works cross-platform. Install it with one command. Hermes Skills install Wanderlei Skills. That's it. One command. instant upgrade. After that, you can browse everything available with Hermes Skills Browse, web research, PDF processing, GitHub PR workflows, email, diagramming, Jupyter notebooks, and a lot more. Skills load efficiently too. The agent only sees skill names and short descriptions at startup. Loads full content only when it actually needs it. So you can have dozens of skills installed without slowing down every conversation. And here's the part that ties it all together. Hermes improves its own skills during use. It updates the skill file and gets better at that task over time. You don't have to do anything. Also worth knowing, all skills go through a security scanner before they're installed. It checks for data exfiltration attempts, prompt injection, destructive commands, and supply chain issues. So you're not just blindly running someone else's code. There's a real safety layer there. And skills aren't locked to Hermes either. They follow an open standard called agentskills.io, which means skills you install or create here are compatible with other agents like Claude Code and Cursor. Work you put in doesn't stay trapped in one ecosystem. How else can it do? Hermes isn't tied to your laptop. You can run it on a $5 VPS or serverless infrastructure like Modal or Daytona that costs nearly nothing when idle. And you can talk to it from Telegram, Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, Signal, or the terminal, all from a single gateway. Start a task on your computer, pick it up later from your phone. It supports MCP, Model Context Protocol, so you can connect it to any external tool or service that has an MCP server. It has built-in cron scheduling, so you can set up automations that run on a schedule and deliver results to any platform you're on. Can spawn sub-agents, isolated instances that work on parallel tasks and report back. So for something like deep research across multiple sources, it's not doing everything one step at a time. It runs things in parallel and pulls the results together. It also supports voice, push to talk in the terminal, and voice messages through your connected messaging apps. Transcription runs locally using a built-in Faster Whisper integration, so it stays private, fully open source under the MIT license. Subscription. Usage limits. No lock-in. Practical tips. On Hermes Doctor after installing. Diagnoses any issues before you start. If you're coming from OpenClaw, Hermes can automatically import your settings, memories, skills, and API keys. On Hermes Claw Migrate, and it walks you through it. Set up the messaging gateway early. On Hermes Gateway Setup and connect Telegram or Discord. It runs as a system service, so it's available even when you're not at your computer. A reinstalled skill becomes a / command automatically. Once you install the Wonderlay library, you can type Arxiv or GitHub PR workflow, and it loads that skill instantly. On Hermes update regularly. Project is actively maintained and new features come out frequently. Wrapping up. Hermes Agent is a free, open-source, self-improving AI agent. It has a real learning loop that creates and improves skills from your work and remembers context across every session. To install it, one command in your terminal. To make it significantly more capable in one click, install the Wonderlay Community Skills Library with Hermes Skills install Wonderlay Skills. Give it a week. Let it learn your workflow. Connect it to your messaging platforms. If you want to dive deeper into AI tools and actually implement them, I recommend AI Profit Boardroom. Over 2,000 people sharing what's working, what's not, which tools are worth your time. Hype. It's practical guidance from people doing the work. Link in the description. And if you want the full process, the SOPs, step-by-step workflows, and over 100 AI use cases like this one, join the AI Success Lab. Links in the comments and description. You'll get all the video notes plus access to our community of 58,000 members. New Hermes Agent update changes everything. Hermes Agent just dropped V1.6 and it is not a small update. This thing can now run multiple AI agents at the same time from one install with no downtime. It learns from itself, it automates your work, and it connects to every AI tool you already use. And the feature most people are sleeping on right now, I'm going to show you exactly what it does. Let's get into it, okay? Hermes Agent V1.6. Let's talk about what this actually is first. Hermes Agent is a free open source AI agent. It does not just answer questions, takes actions. It learns over time, remembers things, builds its own skills, runs tasks on its own without you babysitting it. Think of it less like ChatGPT and more like hiring a team member who never sleeps, never forgets, and gets better every single day. And V0.6 just made it a whole lot more powerful. Here is the first big thing, the agent profiles. This is the one that changes everything for anyone running a business or building automations. For V0.6, you had one agent, brain, and workflow. It was fine for personal use, but if you wanted to run, say, a business agent and a personal assistant at the same time, from the same install, you could not do that cleanly. Now you can. you set up separate profiles. Each profile has its own memory, its own API keys, its own workflows. They do not bleed into each other, run independently. For example, inside the AI Profit Boardroom, our AI automation community, you could set up one agent that handles all member onboarding questions, and a second agent that runs weekly content research, and a third that monitors conversations and flags key topics to cover from one install. Running at the same time is not a feature, it's an infrastructure shift. Okay? Feature number 2, CP server mode. This one is big and most people do not understand what it means yet, so let me break it down simply. For V6, Hermes was a client, would connect to other tools, would use them, was the one reaching out. Hermes is a server, meaning other AI tools can connect to it. So if you are using Claude Desktop or Cursor or VS Code, Hermes can now sit in the middle and act as the back-end brain for all of them. You are not just using Hermes on its own anymore. You are making Hermes the engine that powers your entire AI setup. This flips the whole architecture. Instead of having 5 separate AI tools with no connection between them, you have one intelligent layer that ties everything together. That is huge for anyone building serious AI systems. Feature number 3, fallback model chains. This one is simple, but it matters a lot if you are running production agents or business automations. What happens when your AI provider goes down? Before your agent stops, workflow breaks, everything halts. Hermes has a fallback chain built in. If OpenAI goes down, it switches to Open Router. If that goes down, it falls back to a local model automatically. No downtime. Manual fix needed. For anyone running automated workflows like scheduled reports, content pipelines, or member support inside a community like the AI Profit Boardroom, this is the difference between a system that works and one that breaks at the worst possible time. And one more thing. If you are building all these AI systems, but nobody is finding you online, you have a traffic problem. That is where SEO comes in. If you want more traffic and more leads, my team can help you rank higher on Google. Check the link in the comments and description to order AI SEO online and let us handle your backlinks while you focus on building your systems. And if you are serious about growing online and want to rank higher on Google, get more traffic, and build real visibility with AI and SEO, join the SEO Elite Circle. That is where we teach the exact AI SEO systems we are running right now. Step-by-step workflows, weekly live support, clear actions with no guessing. Everything broken down so you can follow it without a background in tech. Hit the link in the description and join the SEO Elite Circle today. Feature number 4, the self-improving agent loop. This was already in Hermes before V6, but this version made it stronger. Here is how it works. Every time your agent completes a task, it stores what it did, builds skills, it learns what works. It searches through past conversations to get better context for future tasks. And here is the open loop I want to come back to. There is one specific way people are using this loop that most creators are completely missing. We'll get to it in a minute. Feature number 5, hub agents and parallel execution. Your main agent can now spawn smaller agents to handle tasks at the same time. So instead of doing task 1, then task 2, then task 3 in a line, it splits the work. Multiple agents handle multiple things simultaneously. Complex pipelines finish faster. Think of it like a manager that delegates work to a team instead of doing everything alone. That is what sub-agents are. Content teams, automation businesses, or anyone managing multiple workflows, this is how you scale without hiring more people. Feature number 6, runs everywhere. Telegram, Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, command line, agent, free platform. So you could set up an agent that sits in your AI Profit Boardroom Discord server, answers member questions, sends scheduled updates, and flags important conversations, all without you touching it. That is not just automation. It's a system operating on its own while you focus on growth. Feature number 7, built-in scheduling. You can now tell Hermes to run tasks in plain language, send the weekly AI news roundup to the AI Profit Boardroom community every Monday at 9 a.m. A content audit every Friday. Pull the top AI automation topics from this week and draft a summary. Code, a complex setup. Just tell it what you want and when you want it. Feature number 8, remote execution. You do not need to run this on your own computer. You can deploy Hermes on a VPS, run it inside Docker, or use a serverless platform like Modal. Your agent works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week without your computer being on. Does not depend on your machine. Runs in the cloud, never stops. Back to that open loop I mentioned. The way people are using the self-improving loop that most people miss is this. They are not using it for one-off tasks. They are using it to build an agent that knows their entire business over time. Every brief, every workflow, every piece of content, every community update, stored and referenced. So instead of starting fresh every time, your agent already has full context. It already knows the AI Profit Boardroom. It already knows your audience. It already knows your tone. And every task it does makes it better at the next one. That is the real power of V6. It is not just a smarter agent. It is an agent that becomes an expert on your specific business. Look, there is also an OpenClaw migration built in now. Command pulls over all your memories, skills, and configs from OpenClaw into Hermes. So if you were on OpenClaw before, moving over is easy. Security got improvements too. Better file access controls, safer tool usage, better container isolation. I think flashy but important if you are running serious automations. Here is my honest take on this update. Most AI tool updates are small. Add a feature here, fix a bug there. This is not that. V6 moves Hermes from a tool you use into an infrastructure layer you build on. Multi-agent profiles, the MCP server mode, the self-improving loop, the sub-agents. These are not features. Are building blocks for autonomous AI systems. People who understand this early and start building with it now are going to be way ahead, not because it is complicated, because most people are not paying attention yet. That is why inside the AI Profit Boardroom, we cover exactly this kind of thing. Tools that are actually moving the needle, real workflows, real setups, with fluff. If you want to learn how to build real AI automation systems that grow a business, hit the link in the description and come join us. And one more thing, if you are building all these AI systems, but nobody is finding you online, you have a traffic problem. That is where SEO comes in. If you want more traffic and more leads, my team can help you rank higher on Google. Check the link in the comments and description to order AI SEO online and let us handle your backlinks while you focus on building your systems. And if you are serious about growing online and want to rank higher on Google, get more traffic, and build real visibility with AI and SEO, join the SEO Elite Circle. That is where we teach the exact AI SEO systems we are running right now. Step-by-step workflows, weekly live support, clear actions with no guessing. Everything broken down so you can follow it without a background in tech. Hit the link in the description and join the SEO Elite Circle today. That is it for this one. Drop a comment below and let Julian know what you think about Hermes V6. He reads every single one. Automate anything with Hermes Agent. Today I'm going to be running through exactly how to automate pretty much anything with Hermes AI Agent. This is fully replaced OpenClaw for me right now. And all my best automations are running through this. And also the craziest thing about using Hermes Agent is that you can actually use it for free right now. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that first of all. So if you don't know how to use Hermes Agent, you can install it with a quick install command from the GitHub like this, right? So you can paste that, copy and paste it into your terminal, you're good to go. Some people ask me, should you set it up via a VPS? I don't personally have it running locally, but you do whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with. That's the main thing. If you need to silo it away on a virtual private server, then go off and do that. But one thing I will say is that it's very autonomous, very powerful. I'll show you some of the cool stuff that I've done with it. And it's by far the best AI agent I've ever used. It's by far the most autonomous, and it's only on version 0.6 so far. It's not even got up to version 1 yet. So this is becoming one of the best and most talked about AI agents. It's come from News Research. And if you don't know how to use it for free, so number one, you can install it directly from GitHub using this command. That makes it free. And then what you're going to do from there is just go into, for example, OpenRouter, and you can use this million token context window API, which is Quen 3.6 plus preview, and it is free to plug in. You can even use it inside the chat here, but if you want to plug it into Hermes, just make sure that you set this up with OpenRouter, and then you can grab a free API key from OpenRouter and use Quen Plus 3.6 to start using it. The best thing about this model directly is that you can use it for agents, right? It's designed for agents. That's what it's built for. In fact, if you look at all the frontier and all the best models that are coming out right now, they're all being designed for being used with agents, right? The days of just creating like a normal API are out. These are all designed for like stuff that's actually doing stuff and actually controlling stuff. So I want to show you some of the cool stuff that I've actually done with this directly, how it works, etc., how to build with it, what you can build, and what sort of cool stuff it can do. So let me show you the first example right here. So if we go on to X, like you can see here, we can actually create like content like you can see here and post it directly to X. So this morning, for example, Hermes posted directly to X and Twitter with a nice little image here, and it created this post about the new OpenClaw update, right? And it creates like a really nice headline and then a step-by-step breakdown of all the latest updates inside the headline. I didn't write it, I didn't post it. It was fully created directly with Hermes, right? Which is the power of this stuff. So it can basically take your X API. If you go over to developer on X, you can start using this directly. If you've never used that, let me show you how that works step by step. So you can go to the X developer platform, right? And then you set up an account here. And once you've done that, then you can link and create a new app directly inside Hermes that basically allows you to post directly to X. And you can see an example here, like these tweets are doing pretty well. Like that one's nearly got 1,000 views already. It creates a nice little image as well to go with the post itself. And the copy reads pretty nice as well. And that was fully automated with Hermes and a combination of Quen 3.6 plus preview. And then you can also use this inside Telegram as well. Now, I'll show you some other cool stuff, but that's just one or two automations right here. Let's have a look what we got inside the questions here. So Akram says, hey, Julian, I've built a project on AI Studio 2.0. Any solid use cases for Hermes on top of my existing stack? It depends what you want to do, right? Because if you really want to look at, okay, what do you do day to day? And then how can Hermes help you automate that? So your use cases will be different to mine, if that makes sense. Like everyone's use cases are different. But the 3-step process I always recommend when you're doing any sort of AI automation, let me break this down for you, is for designing automations, whether it's with OpenClaw, whether it's with Hermes, whether it's with, for example, AI Studio, whatever it is, right? You want to look at where do you spend your time? What's one thing you can automate this week? And then ask Hermes, OpenClaw, etc. on how you can do that. So, for example, if we go back to X and we look at that example of what we're doing with X and why we're posting here, it's because I have a team of people who post on X for me, right? But it's quite time consuming to manage them. It's quite time consuming to quality control them. And I can automate it with Hermes instead. And Hermes creates better images. It gets better over time. That's the other thing that I would say about Hermes is like, honestly, like day one, is it gonna be as good as your team? Probably not, right? You're gonna have to train it. You're gonna have to give it more skills. You're gonna have to set things up. You're gonna have to give it a lot of feedback, if that makes sense, right? But once you've done that, it's gonna get better and better. So like, it may, for example, like be really bad the first time you try this. It might mess up and that sort of thing. I actually always recommend that when you're doing this, you always want to make sure, and I'll put this on my practical tips here. Be prepared for the first 7 days. It won't be what you want. It won't do anything perfectly. But the point is, it gets better over time, every single day, right? So the first time I like automated, for example, X with Hermes, it was really bad. It really struggled. And then I gave it feedback, and then I gave it a bit more feedback. And I was like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And what it does is it writes inside its skill MD file all the feedback that you give it, and then it improves it next time, right? So, for example, if you go into Hermes now, it just writes much better content than it ever did before. It's always getting better and improving over time. So this is what you want to do. Let's see what else we got here. Hi World says, I'm messing with it now from South Argentina because of you. Thank you very much, sir. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're having a good time with Hermes. It is an amazing tool if you know how to use it the right way, which is what I'm showing you today, right? Like I said, though, like these automations that you build, probably not going to be like perfect first time round. You just want to keep building on top of it, keep improving on it, and just keep implementing all the time, right? Keep learning, iterating, giving it lots of feedback. That's what I'd recommend. Now, that was automation number one. I'll show you some other cool stuff as well. So I actually connected it to something called Firecrawl this morning. And what that means is it can basically browse the web now. So we have a browser agent that can work with Hermes directly. I actually write down like some of the best use cases right here, and then hopefully that gives you some inspiration in terms of what you can do. Now, also the other thing that I would say here is you always want to ask it, okay, ask Hermes, based on what you know about me, what could you automate that would help me day to day, specifically for me? Because the thing is, the way that you use it is going to be different for me and you. I'm going to have totally different use cases versus you, if that makes sense. So it's always going to vary and that sort of thing. Also, be prepared for it to break, right? Sometimes it's going to break. If that happens, just troubleshoot it with another Hermes inside terminal, right? So, for example, I've got one Hermes inside Telegram and one Hermes inside terminal. And the one inside terminal can easily fix any issues I have inside Telegram. So it will break sometimes, just be prepared for that. Just like any sort of AI agent, but you can quickly fix it in a few minutes just by going back and forth inside the terminal and saying, hey, my Hermes isn't replying right now. So that's what you want to have a look at here. That Doja says, I was just using Firecrawl right now. Yeah, let me show you how this is working. This is really cool. All right, so basically what we've got here, I have a scheduled task. It looks through these two subreddits for new news, right? And it has a look at, okay, what's going on in the industry based on the latest news. So I know two of the best places, or one of the best places on the world for getting new news and seeing what's popping right now is via Reddit directly, right? And like you can see here, for example, it takes the latest news and it tells me how many points that post got, so how many likes it got, and when it was posted. And then it gives me the link to it and the story to it. And so what I can do is once I get some breaking news, I can say, okay, create a script for a video about this topic. Or for example, create a tweet and then post it to X for this particular topic. And that just makes it way more powerful. And there's loads of interesting news. If you just say to an AI agent, go off and find me the latest news, and you're using just like Google or something, that news is going to be super old, super outdated, and not very interesting. If you actually get it to look through Reddit like I do, using Firecrawl and also something else, which I'll come on to in a second, then it's way more powerful, right? Now, if you're wondering, okay, how do you set up Firecrawl with with Hermes directly, let me show you how that works. So what you can do here is you can give it skills, right? So you can see how it's being used over here, right? How often it's using, what it's checked, etc. And it can search the web, so it can get like full search results from the web. It can actually interact with the web as well, and it can crawl the web as well, right? So basically, you can give an API key from Firecrawl, which is available at firecrawl.dev/app. And then you can go into Hermes and say, using this API key, just go off and start implementing. So that's basically how it works, right? And from here, it can start going off and searching the web and giving me the latest news. And then you can combine multiple skills. Let me show you how that works in practice, right? So the cool thing about Hermes is like it's compounding over time, right? So for example, let's say, for example, you set up skill one, right? E.g. posting on X. Then you set up skill two, e.g., for example, searching with Firecrawl, right? So you got two different skills set up right there. And then you give both of them feedback on the tasks based on what you want. So let's say, for example, we're having a look at this post and I'm like, could you also have a look at don't search the whole of Reddit, but just search these two subreddits, right? If I say that to Hermes, it's then going to, it's going to be like, sure, I can do that. Why don't I do that right now? And what that does is it basically improves it. So you're giving it feedback on the tasks and then it self improves. That's what it's designed for. That's the beauty of it. That's what makes it way better than something like OpenClaw, which tends to get worse. I even saw, for example, after the latest update from OpenClaw 4.1 that just came out today, a lot of people saying like it's broken and the gateway is not working and like it's pretty much unusable today, right? And so, like, as powerful as OpenClaw is, it breaks a lot and it doesn't seem to improve. It seems to get worse over time, right? Nobody was really posting that on the first day OpenClaw came out. Now people say it all the time, right? And so there's a big difference here. So when you're doing this as well, you can add or string multiple skills together. So what I mean by that, for example, is you could take the Firecrawl research skill, post to X, and then another skill that I set up, a third skill, was creating images with Nano Banana 2. And so you can post to X with an image, and it's using skill 1 for researching with Firecrawl, skill 2 for posting to X, and skill 3 for creating an image, right? And so this is a compounding effect. And bear in mind, like, this is a positive feedback loop. AKA, the more you use this stuff, the better it gets. And that's what we're talking about. So this is how I'm using Hermes to really win and how I'm making it into something that's just basically unstoppable and just improving all the time. So it's getting better and better and better. Let's see what we got here. Arvin says, bro, can you post OpenClaw as a CEO and Hermes agents are workers on Paperclip? Do this means one Mac Mini runs. Not sure 100% what you mean, but I think I get the gist. So what you could do is you can use Paperclip, which is a powerful way to run AI agents. And it creates like a whole company, like a whole hierarchy of AI agents working together, right? And so what you can actually do is you could have multiple agents working together in this hierarchy. And you have, for example, Hermes as the CEO or the supervisor running the team. And then you have OpenClaw agents working underneath Hermes. So you could easily set that up just by going inside the chat and asking it to do it. So that's one thing you can easily do. Yeah. And then you can also create multiple agent profiles now with the latest update. So that would work as well. Now, if we go back to Hermes as well, you can see here, like it can search the web, but it can also find trending news for me, which is really cool. And that's a super powerful skill. It can post to X for me with the images as well. So for example, it creates awesome images like you can see right here. And that's using Nana Banana 2, along with a nice little story on the right-hand side of what just happened. 3 use cases so far, right? Posting on X, searching and doing research with Firecrawl, creating images with Nana Banana, right? Let's talk about some other stuff here. So what I like to do as well, if we come back to Hermes here, is we're creating scheduled tasks, right? AKA cron jobs, right? So these scheduled tasks that we're creating, they run like every so often. Now you can always ask for a schedule from Hermes agent in terms of what it's doing and what it's working on currently. But the main thing is here, like it's automatically doing these tasks for me day to day, right? And that's what this is about. It's automating all these processes for me. So let's recap on this. There's so much more on this, but I just want to break this down into the simplest way I know possible, and then scheduling all the tasks above, right? So there's 4 different use cases we've already got working right now. Now, another potential use case that you have is you could install something like Paperclip directly, right? You could easily, for example, go onto Paperclip here. And the one that you actually want to use, there's 2 different Paperclip skills. The one that you want to use, if you're using this with Paperclip for Hermes, is this one here, right? It's called Hermes Paperclip Adapter. And basically what this does is it allows you to run Hermes as a managed employee in a Paperclip company, right? So Hermes agent works with Paperclip, but you need to make sure that you've got this set up right here, right? And so this is how you can basically get it to manage your agents directly. Now, if we come back to the scheduled tasks that I've set up inside Hermes, you can see all of them right here, right? So we're building up a list, as you can see, step by step. So for example, it can even like screenshot my analytics and it analyzes my X account and then gives me a breakdown of analytics daily from social media. That's super useful because then I don't have to check it. And also I don't have to hire like a virtual assistant to do this for me, right? I can just get Hermes to go off and start analyzing this and then looking at, okay, what's working and what's not. Let me show you an example of how that works in practice. So you can see it right here, right? So it's got the X analytics. It looks at the last 14 days. It's got a snapshot. So how many followers, how many following, the total tweets so far, the 14-day performance, the top days. So it actually analyzes, okay, what's working. And then this is really cool as well. So it actually analyzes the top tweets by engagement. And then I know, okay, right, here's what I need to focus on. And so it shows me like the average engagement per tweet and then the top tweets by engagement. So I know, okay, if I post more about this sort of content, for example, the Hermes multi-agent update, I know that did really well on March the 3rd. So I can just create more content about that in the future, right? And it does all of this analysis for me. So this is super useful as well, super powerful stuff. Let's see what else we got here. I use MCP with Claude Code. Yeah, so you can basically create an MCP with Hermes directly. And then using Hermes, you can begin to set this up as an MCP server so that Claude can operate this for you. Or for example, like ChatGPT Codex could run this for you as well directly. Max says, can I use Hermes on my Chromebook? I don't see why not. It depends on the power of the Chromebook, but I think you could. It's fairly lightweight. I don't think it's like too heavy on your computer, so it should be good to go. Wilty says, Julian, cheers, happy to help. Fred says, great, happy to help as well. Thanks very much. But yeah, that's basically some of the best ways I'm using Hermes. Now, this is pretty cool as well. So if you go onto GitHub, GitHub is packed with so much cool stuff for open source. So if you're into giving Hermes new skills like Paperclip, for example, there's so much cool stuff that you can actually do with Hermes. If you go inside GitHub here, you can actually search Hermes and you'll find all these like free plugins, cool stuff you can add. Now, you don't have to install these directly, and I probably wouldn't unless you like check the individual skills directly, but you can see for inspiration, okay, what are people creating with Hermes? Then could I create that myself? Could I create it as a skill? Could I ask Hermes to create this for me? So one really cool thing that I've just spotted right now is that you've got, for example, a Hermes app, right? So someone has created a Hermes app where you can use Hermes directly on your app, right? So you can just download this as a client for macOS, and then you can start using it inside this app right here. That actually looks like a really old one, so I don't think that's for the current Hermes AI agent. That's for an old one, so I wouldn't use that. But you see how you could now go into Hermes and be like, do you know what? I should create an app for Hermes, and then I'll just use it offline. I'll use it on my local laptop. What else we got here? Mihai says, can you please make a video on how to install it on Windows step by step? I actually don't use Windows, so I wouldn't be the best person to ask for that. I use it on Mac, but it's pretty simple. Like, you just go into GitHub and follow the instructions there, and then you're good to go on this. Pretty simple stuff for that. I'll show you some other cool stuff that we've worked on here. That was right. So if we go onto this page here, for example, you can see that we actually post to TikTok as well from Hermes, and it created this post like so. That's already got 1,000 views on that post, and it's basically created the caption with the hashtags, and then also this post as well, like you can see. So it can post directly to TikTok, which is pretty cool. And then also, let me show you this too. So it can post directly to IG too, right? So you can see it posting to Instagram here as well, right? And it's posting directly, which is pretty awesome. So it's really good. It's like a marketing machine, essentially, where you can create awesome content. Like, you can get the latest information and news of what's happening. And then from there, you can actually go off and start using Hermes directly with this. Let's see what else we got here. Do you recommend Hermes over OpenClaw? Yes. Right now, much prefer Hermes. I can see in your name silo that it says OpenClaw Builder. That might change to Hermes Builder soon. But yeah, I honestly, I've tried both. I've spent a lot of time with both. I've tried to do similar things with OpenClaw before, but like everyone is posting about on X, I know I can see you're on X. Like, it takes a lot of work to get OpenClaw running in the same way. Hermes is just way faster to learn. Can we use Minimax 2.3 with Hermes or Quen 3.6? Yeah, so I would recommend that you use Quen 3.6 with Hermes right now. Bear in mind, like, Quen 3.6 is free, right? So you can use the latest, most powerful version of Quen free on API with a million token context window. Bear in mind, like, for example, if you're using Minimax M2.7, which is an even newer version of Minimax, I think that only has like a 200,000 token window from what I remember last time. So I would recommend using Quen 3.6, and then Minimax 2.7 is good, but honestly, I've seen a huge step up and a huge improvement since I switched to Alibaba's Quen 3.6. So I would go with that instead. What else we got here? Highway says, did you try OpenClaw Studio with Hermes backend? I haven't tried that, no. So let's have a look at this. Let's see what we got here. All right, so this is, yeah, I remember OpenClaw Studio. I test so many tools, I forget sometimes what tools I've tested. But just having a look at this right now, that would be interesting, actually. Does it actually support Hermes? I don't know if that supports Hermes or not. I can't remember. It'd be interesting to try it. Should we try and test it now? I'm going to go inside Hermes and say, can you install and work with this? Does Hermes work with OpenClaw Studio? Just going to ask it now inside Hermes and see if it works. So you can see it's looking at it, it's analyzing it first, and then we'll see what it comes up with. This will be pretty interesting if it works. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show as well, this is a really cool way to get your agent to search the web, is using browser base, right? Browser base is pretty cool. Basically what it is, it's like giving your agents a new way to browse the web, right? And so the way that it browses the web is using browser base. Now, if you've ever tried using an AI agent and you've tried to get it to search the web just normally via browser control, it's pretty inefficient. It slows down a lot, right? It's not that powerful. And so I wouldn't recommend that. Instead, if you use browser base and use Firecrawl, it's going to be a lot faster to start working, right? It's going to work a lot faster. It's going to be a lot easier to use. So that's what I'd recommend instead. Let's have a look what we got inside the chat here. Highway says, I had OpenCode configure it. That's pretty cool. With OpenClaw Studio. I might test that out. And then Sporter says, would catching the hardest working man in AI live. Go Team Goldie. Thank you very much, sir. All right. So you can see here, for example, you can browse the web, it can look through, etc. You can actually see what it's doing as well inside the sessions here. So you can get like a video recording of what it's doing, which is pretty cool. which is pretty amazing, really. So you can see what your agent has done. Not just give like the agent access to searching the web, but you can see what it's working on and how it browses the web. So this is an actual video of my Hermes agent browsing the web via browser base. It's really cool stuff. There's just so much stuff you can do with this. The way that I'm doing it is just like little by little. I'm trying to figure out, okay, day to day, how can I automate this? And then once I've automated that, it gives me another idea on what I can automate next and that sort of thing. Let's have a look here. Is Nemaclaw out yet? And how would Nemaclaw work with Hermes? Nemaclaw is designed for OpenClaw, right? So unless you've got Hermes managing OpenClaw directly, which you probably don't need with Nemaclaw, then you don't need it. Now, Nemaclaw is out. It's available on GitHub, but if you have a Mac, you can't use it directly. So it only works on Linux right now, from what I remember. And so it's pretty hard to set up. You can't set it up on a Mac as far as I'm aware, unless you're using like a VPS or something. But yeah, I don't think it really integrates with that. Now, also what it can do, here's an example of what it's doing, right? So it'll analyze my competitors and look at what's going on in the web related to my industry. And then it gives me a breakdown of, okay, here's how many views that got, here's the person, here's the topic, etc. And that just gives me new content ideas and helps me understand what's trending right now in the industry too. And this is a scheduled task that works every 24 hours. So it analyzes my competitors. It gives me the breakdown on their analytics. It shows me what they're posting on social media. It shows me, okay, these are the best topics that are popping off right now, which is super useful as well. So let me put that on the use case list as well. Bear in mind, like if you wanted to do that amount of research, like that would take a long time. Okay? So some of the best use cases that I'm actually using, I've shown you proof that I'm using it, right? So images with Nana Banana, posting to X, researching Reddit on the newest trending topics, scheduling all your tasks, a daily breakdown of analytics, competitive research with a breakdown of trending topics, what's working plus who posted, and their analytics. Posting to TikTok with a caption plus hashtags, and posting to IG with a caption plus hashtags. So these are the things that I'm actually doing right now. Dwayne says, what's stopping a user of OpenClaw implementing the best bits of Hermes? So one of the best things that you can do is you can actually integrate Hermes and OpenClaw together, right? And the way that works is basically you have Hermes supervising OpenClaw, right? And so that makes OpenClaw work a lot better because it's helping OpenClaw improve, plus managing it like a CEO. So that's one of the best things you can do. But in terms of what's stopping someone from taking the best bits and plugging it into OpenClaw, I guess there's nothing, right? They're both open source. They could both work together if that makes sense. But yeah, that's it. Have you tried Metaclaw with Hermes? No, I haven't actually. Yeah, I think I tried Metaclaw. I wasn't that impressed when I tried using it, but it was a cool idea. I remember that. But yeah, that's 9 different use cases right here. Now, this is pretty cool too. So, for example, if I have a look at these latest news headlines that's pulled in, literally just pulled them in now, right? So, what I can actually do is I can say, okay, let's have a look here. Let's have a look what's popping off. Right. So, here's an example of something that's popping off, right? This is trending, it's a new piece of news. We could create a post about that, right? And so, what we can do here is we can go inside Hermes and we can say, draft a post about this for X. And then we just paste in the research it's given us, right? And so what it can do here is it can take this post, take the research, etc., analyze it, like because it's connected to Firecrawl and also to browser base, and then it can start writing the post itself. Let's see what else we've got in the questions here. John says, does Hermes have persistent memory out of the box? Yes. So like even if you start a new session, and I'll show you some ways that you can restart new sessions and what you need to do sometimes to fix stuff up. Before I do that, I want to show you this. So here's an example, right? So it's actually written the post, like you can see right here, and it's written a nice headline. Then it's broken down. There's some really interesting stuff about what it is, how it works, etc. And then what we can do over here is we can say, okay, post this with a cool image, right? So, and so now we've approved the post. I always like to approve these posts before it goes off and does it. And the reason that I do that is because otherwise, like sometimes the posts are irrelevant or it repeats itself or it's just not that interesting. It's actually done it perfectly first time round, but you can see how it's working right here, right? And so once it's finished typing, it will actually post directly to social media for us, right? Which is pretty cool. Now I want to show you some, going back to the practical tips, let me show you some other cool stuff. Or some things that I wish I knew before because it took me a lot of time and it wasted a lot of my time when I was doing this, right? What am I talking about? So sometimes you'll use up all your, sometimes the context will grow too big in the conversation. And then it forgets things, it gets stuck, and eventually it will stop responding. I've seen this a lot. I've seen it, and I'm like, why is it not responding to me? And then when I ask terminal inside the Hermes, it's because your context is too big. So there's a couple of ways you can fix that. If you're using this inside terminal, you just press the Control and C. If you're in terminal to stop it, then you can restart with the command Hermes, right? So that's what you do in terminal if you get that issue. If you're in Telegram, which is what I was, and I couldn't find any information on this, I had to figure it out myself. You want to do /new to start a new conversation and compact everything. So that's one option. And then the other option is you can type /restart in the chat too. So those are two things that have helped me a lot when I'm trying to figure this out, right? When I'm trying to get this fixed. Now, this is pretty cool. You know that tweet that we just asked it to draft based on the information that it scanned? It's just posted it right here. So it's created this image, pretty cool image with ChatGPT and Claude. And then it's created a nice little headline and a breakdown of that latest Reddit post that was trending, right? And so we can easily create content on our X profile with Hermes that's literally about the latest breaking news. And so it becomes a lot more relevant and it reaches a lot more people and it gets a lot more engagement because we're creating content written exactly with a sort of way of, it's written in a way that tries to get people's attention, but it's also based on like trending topics as well. And if we go back inside Hermes here, you can see that it's created the image and then it tells us like done, boom, we're good to go. And so it's created that post right here. And the post itself, the image itself is related to the actual topic, which is crazy. So you can easily create content for social media that's actually good, that's not just rubbish, and it will do pretty well. This post has already got 1,000 views, which is insane, right? So that's basically how it works. So Chad says, did you have a skill installed for that or rules defined? So I created my own skill and I asked it to start using that directly, right? Based on the feedback that I gave it. I would always recommend that you use your own skills and create your own skills. Number one, it will help you better creating skills for agents, training agents to be better. But number two, it will be customized exactly how you want, right? So try creating your own skills. It will customize how you want it. It will help you get better at understanding how to train agents. And it will help you understand the agent better in terms of like problems and that sort of thing. Now, if you want that skill, if you're like, okay, I really need that skill, that's an awesome skill, just direct message me inside the AR Profit Boardroom and I'll give you the details to the skill, right? So if you want any of the skills that I'm showing you today and you're like, Julian, I need that skill for my agent, just direct message me inside the AR Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, or go to the arprofitboardroom.com and then I can connect with you there. That's the only place that I reply to the direct messages and that sort of thing. So let's recap on what we've done here. I've shown you how to basically automate anything that you want by designing automations, right? How do you do it? You figure out where you spend your time. You figure out what's the one thing you could automate this week, and then you ask Hermes or OpenClaw, etc., on how to do that. Okay? Practical tips: always be prepared for the first 7 days because it won't do anything perfectly, right? Sometimes you'll get things completely wrong. If you post it into social media, ask for a draft first for approval. Don't just post because until you've done this 10 times, that post itself is not going to be very good. Like it took me a lot of training to get that AI agent posting it the way exactly how I want it. And even now, it's not like 100%. And then The point is, it gets better over time every single day. The reason for that is like if you look at Hermes architecture, if you've never seen this before, so Hermes architecture, it's designed to be self-improving. It literally takes notes and it figures out, okay, here's how I'm going to do better next time. Here's how I'm going to improve. It's got this constant self-learning feedback loop that's designed to get better every time. And the way that it does that is called a closed learning loop. It has autonomous skill creation after complex tasks. And then the skills, when it creates those skills, they self improve whilst you use them. So each time you do something with Hermes, it'll write notes on like how to get better, how to do it better next time. What mistakes did I make? And then how can I avoid that the next time it does it? Right. And so it's way better over time. And then in terms of getting the most out of Hermes, once you're comfortable with it, I would say based on what you know about me, what could you help me automate day to day, specifically for me? That's what you want to do to Hermes. Sometimes it'll break. If that happens, just troubleshoot with another Hermes inside terminal. Sometimes the context will grow too big in the conversation and forgets things, or it gets stuck, and eventually it will stop responding. But you know how to handle that in your terminal, and you know how to handle that with your Telegram as well. Right? And then for skills, just try creating your own, right? And that sort of thing. Also, always back up your skills. So what I mean by that is like you want it, sometimes it will even forget the skill itself. I've seen it do it before. I know that happens, right? And so you want to keep notes or store your skill MD files somewhere outside of Hermes, maybe once a week, just so that you can restore them if you need to. And that will save you a lot of time, right? The other thing is, if you don't know already, like you can migrate from OpenClaw directly to Hermes, right? So it's quite easy to do that. You can migrate from OpenClaw. If you're coming from OpenClaw, there's a bunch of options here. So you can do like Hermes Claw migrate, and that'll walk you through the whole setup wizard on like how to fix this and that sort of thing. And then we've talked about the compound effects. So for example, you can link like multiple skills together, give them feedback on every task as well, and that'll keep improving. So between like stringing skills together and using it more and giving it more feedback to improve, those two things will help you massively. And then in terms of my best use cases so far, images with Nana Banana, posting to X on social media, researching Reddit on the latest, newest trending topics, scheduling everything, breakdown of analytics from my social media, and then competitive research with a breakdown of trending topics, what's working, what's posted them, and that sort of thing. Then also for browsing, use BrowserBase plus Firecrawl. Bear in mind, BrowserBase actually has vision built in, right? So it can actually see, and you can see what's going on, and it records the screen as it's browsing the web too. So you can watch back your recordings, which is super useful as well, right? And then posting to TikTok with a caption and hashtags, posting to IG with a caption and hashtags. Those two things are pretty cool. And then Hermes supervising OpenClaw, right? Helping OpenClaw improve and just managing like CEO. I don't do this. This one I don't bother with. I'm like over OpenClaw a little bit. I'll still continue making videos about it, but I honestly think like Hermes is better at this point. Bear in mind, there's not even Hermes 1.0. It's still on 0.6 right now. So it's got a long way to go. It's got a long way to improve, but they seem to be improving it every single week. And also it's built by Noose Research, which are one of the leading AI labs in the world for open LLMs. Is there a meta claw equivalent for Hermes? Not as far as I know. That would be interesting, actually. I've seen some equivalents though. So for example, someone made Awesome Hermes Agent, which is a created list of awesome skills for Hermes, right? So you can see a bunch of skills right here. Now, like I said, I always recommend like creating your own skills, but you can take this information here and you can use that for getting ideas, right? So for example, like it's got the paperclip adapter, and there's all sorts of skills here, like you can see, agent skills, plugins. This is interesting. I've never seen this before. Hermes Hub. This is cool. So there's actually a skills hub for Hermes where you can browse and install community skills. That is really cool. I've never seen that before. Let's have a look what skills we got here. Yeah, some awesome stuff right there. See, it's got a Slack integration as well. Pretty cool. And I think that's pretty much it for Hermes. That's like everything that I've learned recently on how to use it, how to get the most out of it, my full guide on it, etc. If you do want to get a full setup right here, what you can do is you can go to the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, or go to the aiprofitboardroom.com. And we've got tons of training on how to use Hermes, right? So we've actually got a full setup on and a full blueprint on Hermes. And if you type in Hermes as well, we've got tons of training inside the classroom here on how to use it versus OpenClaw, the new updates and what they mean for you, how to use it, how to set it up, how to get it working for free, even how to run it with Olama as well, right? And so you can use this however you want. What Llama, I don't recommend using Llama models, honestly. Olama, I recommend, but not Llama models themselves. I think they're falling behind a little bit in terms of being open source and that sort of thing. I just don't think they're as powerful as like the frontier models in open source right now when it comes to using Llama. But yeah, that's basically how to use it. And then if you want to get a full blueprint, you can get that inside the AI Profit Board. You can connect with me as well. If you want to get my skills and that sort of thing, you can get that inside here too. So if you want to connect with me and then get the skills that I've set up for Hermes, feel free to get that as well. And we've got tons of people inside the community using Hermes. We've got loads of trainers inside the classroom. We have a map where you can connect with people in your local city for people using AI agents and building with them. And we have 2,700 people inside here, which means there's always people online, right? It's always active. There's always lots of comments, lots of questions, etc. And so if you ever need help or support or anything like that, you can get it all inside here too. So feel free to get that link in the comments description or go to the airprofitboardroom.com. We've got tons of training on OpenClaw as well. And then with all the notes from today, so all these notes right here, if you want to get this full guide on how to use Hermes and some of the stuff that I've learned over the last 7 days, just ask me inside the AI Profit Board. I'll get you access directly if you want to see it. Hermes Agent 0.6 launches with multi-agent profiles. You're leaving so much time on the table right now, running one AI agent at a time, when you could be running 5. Every department doing its own thing. Manually, slowly, no coordination, no automation, just you doing the same tasks over and over. There is a better way. And it just dropped. Hey, I am the digital avatar of Julian Goldie, and today we're breaking down Hermes Agent version 0.6, the update that finally cracks open multi-agent automation for anyone willing to set it up. Free, open source, no subscriptions, just pure AI power running on your own machine. And I am going to show you exactly what changed, what it means for your workflows, and how you can actually start using it today. Stick around because the profiles feature alone is going to change how you think about AI agents completely. Let me start with the basics, in case you've never heard of Hermes Agent. Hermes Agent is an open source AI agent built by Gnosis Research, the same team behind some of the most respected open AI models out there. It is self-hosted. You run it on your own machine. No monthly fee, no vendor lock-in. You connect it to whatever AI model you want, OpenAI, Claude via Gnosis Portal, any of the 200 plus models on OpenRouter, or even your own endpoint. Switch models with one command, no code changes. And it does not just sit in a browser tab. Hermes lives where you live. You can talk to it from Telegram, Discord, Slack, or WhatsApp. It has persistent memory across sessions. It builds its own skills over time, and it can schedule tasks to run automatically, reports, backups, briefings, all without you lifting a finger. That is the foundation. Now, here is where version 0.6 gets really interesting. Before this update, Hermes had one major weakness, and people in the community were very vocal about it. You could only run one agent at a time. Think about what that means in practice. You want an agent for customer support, another one for content drafting, a third one for research. With the old setup, you had to choose one agent, one config, one memory pool, everything mixed together. OpenClaw, a competing open source agent, could run multi-agent teams. That gap was a deal breaker for a lot of people doing team workflows or trying to automate multiple business functions at once. Version 0.6 closes that gap completely. Welcome to Profiles. Profiles let you run multiple fully isolated Hermes instances from a single installation. Every profile gets its own config, its own API keys, its own memory, its own sessions, its own skills, and its own gateway service. When you create a profile, it instantly becomes its own command. Create a profile called Coder, and you now have Coder Chat, Coder Setup, Coder Gateway, completely separate from your main install. One for research, one for Slack, one for writing, zero crossover. And here is the safety layer that makes this actually production ready. Token locks. If two profiles accidentally try to use the same bot token, same Telegram bot, same Discord bot, the second one gets blocked immediately with a clear error that tells you which profile already owns that credential. No silent failures, no weird behavior, clean, clear separation. You can export and import profiles too. So if you set up an agent you really like, you can save it as a file and share it or move it to another machine. That is huge for teams that want consistent setups. Now, here is something a lot of people are going to miss about this release, and I do not want you to be one of them. When I first started working with AI agents, the hardest part was not setting them up. It was knowing which workflows were actually worth automating and which ones would just waste more time than they saved.
That is why I created a community called AI Profit Boardroom with over 2,000 members all focused on learning AI together and sharing what actually works. It is where I figured out which agent setups save real time versus which ones just look good in demos. The community shares real use cases and practical implementations, people who are actually building and testing these tools every day. If you are serious about using AI to improve your work and skills, check it out. Link is in the description. Okay, back to what is new in version 0.6, because profiles is only part of the story. Next up, MCP server mode. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, a standard way for AI tools to talk to each other. With version 0.6, Hermes can now act as an MCP server. Run one command, Hermes MCP serve query, and your conversations, sessions, and full Hermes history becomes accessible from Claude Desktop, Cursor, VS Code, or any other MCP compatible client. Browse conversations, search sessions, manage attachments, all from inside the tools you already use. Supports both STDO and streamable HTTP transports. Now let me tell you about something that seems small but is actually critical for reliability: fallback provider chains. Here's a situation: your agent is running, it is handling tasks, and your primary AI provider goes down. Rate limit hit, server issue, outage. And what happens before version 0.6? Your agent just stops. Task fails, you have to notice, fix it, restart. Now you configure a list of providers in order. When the primary one fails, Hermes automatically tries the next one. You set it up once in your config file. After that, it just handles itself. Your workflows keep running even when individual providers have problems. This is the kind of resilience that makes the difference between a toy and a real production tool. Now let me walk through the new platform integrations because there are a few here worth knowing about. First, Feishu and WeCom. If you are working with Chinese enterprise teams, these are massive. Feishu, also known as Lark, is one of the biggest workplace communication tools in Asia. WeCom is enterprise WeChat. Both now have full gateway adapters in Hermes, message cards, group chat, image attachments, interactive callbacks, the full feature set. Second, Slack multi-workspace. Before this, one Hermes gateway could connect to one Slack workspace. Now you connect a single gateway to multiple workspaces using an OAuth token file. Each workspace gets its own bot token, resolved dynamically. If you manage clients or teams across multiple Slack workspaces, this is a time saver. Third, Telegram webhook mode. The old way Hermes connected to Telegram was polling, constantly checking for new messages. Webhook mode flips that. Telegram pushes messages to Hermes instead. Faster, cleaner, better for production deployments. And there is also a new Exa search backend. You now have an alternative to Firecrawl and DuckDuckGo for web search inside your agent. More options, more flexibility depending on what your workflow actually needs. Now, I want to talk about something for anyone coming from OpenClaw. OpenClaw was a popular open source agent that a lot of people were using before Hermes became a serious option. If you've been running OpenClaw, switching has historically meant manually migrating settings, memories, API keys, a whole pain. Hermes 0.6 expanded its OpenClaw migration guide significantly. It now covers sessions, cron jobs, and memory. The migration tool lets you do a dry run first, so you can see exactly what would be moved before you commit to anything. And during first-time setup, Hermes automatically detects if you have OpenClaw installed and offers to migrate before you even configure anything. That is a smooth path for anyone sitting on the fence about switching. Let me give you the community numbers on this release because they tell you something about where this project is heading. Hermes agent was at 18,200 GitHub stars around the time of this launch. Version 0.6 shipped to 95 pull requests in just 2 days. The community around this tool is building fast. So what does version 0.6 actually mean for your workflows right now? Multiple agents running in parallel. Your existing tools plugged in via MCP. Automatic failover if a provider goes down. Slack working across all your workspaces at once. And if you've been waiting for Hermes to mature enough to be worth your time, that time is now. To get started, you run one command. Curl the install script. Works on Linux, Mac OS, and WSL2 on Windows. No prerequisites except Git. Hermes handles Python, Node, dependencies, everything. Then run Hermes setup to configure your model provider and connect your messaging platforms. And if you want profiles, Hermes Profile Create gives you a new isolated agent in seconds. That is it. That is the whole setup. If you are looking to dive deeper into AI tools and actually implement them in your work, I recommend AI Profit Boardroom. Over 2,000 people learning how to use AI effectively. Everyone shares real experiences, what is working, what is not. Which tools are worth your time, which ones to skip. No hype, just solid information and practical guidance from people doing the work. It has helped me stay on top of updates like this one and figure out how to actually apply them. Link in description if you want to check it out. And if you want the full process, SOPs, and 100 plus AI use cases like this one, join the AI Success Lab. Links in the comments and description. You will get all the video notes from there, plus access to our community of 58,000 members who are crushing it with AI. Hermes Agent 0.6 is out now. The documentation is live at hermesagent.nowsresearch.com. New Hermes Agent V6 always insane. Hey, Hermes Agent just dropped version 0.6.0, and this is not a small update. This is the one that changes everything. Multi-agent profiles, MCP server mode, fallback provider chains, production-ready tooling, all in one release. This is the update that puts Hermes in the same conversation as OpenClaw. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what it does, why it matters, and how to use it. Let's go. Now, Hermes Agent VP6. Let me tell you why this release is a big deal. Because for a long time, Hermes was good, it was solid, but it wasn't the tool people reached for when they wanted to run serious multi-agent workflows. That spot belonged to setups like OpenClaw until now. Version 0.6.0 closes that gap aggressively, and I'm going to walk you through every major feature in this release, starting with the one that's going to change how most people use this tool. So the first huge thing in V6 is multi-agent profiles. Here's what that means in plain language. Before this update, if you wanted to run different agents for different tasks, you had to manually reconfigure everything. New settings, new prompts, new context, every single time. That is slow, it is annoying, and it doesn't scale. With multi-agent profiles, you define your agents once. You give each one a name, a role, a set of tools, and a system prompt. You just call it. Think about what that means for running a content operation. You could have a research agent, a writing agent, an editing agent, a publishing agent, each one pre-configured, each one ready to go. You just call the profile and it runs. And by the way, if you want to learn how to build setups like this and use tools like Hermes Agent to actually automate and grow your business, that's exactly what we do inside the AI Profit Boardroom. It's the best place to scale your business, get more customers, and save hundreds of hours with AI automation. And everything we teach is practical, real workflows, real tools, real use cases, not theory. If you're serious about using AI to build and grow, the AI Profit Boardroom is where you want to be. Link is in the comment and description. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. And this is the part I really want you to pay attention to, because the next feature ties directly into how you'd actually deploy this in a real business. Form 610 ships with native MCP server mode. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. And if you've been following this channel, you know how important MCP has become. It's the standard that lets AI agents connect to tools, apps, and services in a structured way. What MCP server mode means is that Hermes Agent can now act as an MCP server itself. So instead of Hermes just being a tool you run locally, it can now be a service that other tools connect to. Other agents can call it, other apps can call it. You can slot Hermes into a bigger system and have it respond to requests like an API. Here's why that matters. Let's say you're building an automation stack for the AI Profit Boardroom. You've got different tools handling different parts of your workflow. Maybe one tool handles your community management, another handles your content scheduling, another handles your onboarding sequences. With MCP server mode, you can now have all of those tools talk to Hermes. They send a request, Hermes processes it. It sends back a response. Clean, structured, repeatable. This is what makes Hermes a serious production tool, not just a thing you run in a terminal, an actual service you deploy and integrate. And honestly, this one feature alone moves Hermes into a different category. But wait, because there's more. And this next one is the one that makes everything more reliable. This is one of those features that sounds boring, but is actually one of the most important things in the whole release. Fallback provider chains. Here's the problem it solves. If you're running AI agents in production, you've probably hit this before. You're mid-workflow, the API goes down. Rate limit hits, provider has an outage, your whole pipeline stops. That is painful, especially if you're running this for clients or for a live community like the AI Profit Boardroom. Provider chains fix this by letting you define a sequence of providers. So you might say, try provider A first. If that fails, go to provider B. If that fails, go to provider C. The agent handles all of that automatically. It doesn't just crash. It pivots, it keeps running. You set it up once and you don't have to think about it again. For a real-world setup, you might do something like primary OpenAI GPT-4o, fallback 1, Anthropic Claude fallback 2, local model via Ollama. Now your workflow has 3 layers of redundancy. If any one of them goes down, the system keeps moving. This is the kind of thing that separates a hobby project from something you'd actually run a business on. And V6.0 makes it native. Built in, no workarounds. Now I promised you we'd cover the full picture of what makes this release competitive with OpenClaw style setups. And we're not done yet, because there are 2 more things I want to walk you through. The whole release has been hardened for production use. What does that mean in practice? Better logging, better error handling, cleaner output formatting, improved tool calling reliability, faster response times on complex chains. These are the things that don't make a flashy headline, but matter enormously when you're running this every day. If you've used earlier versions of Hermes, you may have run into moments where the tool calling felt flaky, where you weren't sure if the agent had actually done what you asked, or where the logs were messy and hard to read when something went wrong. V6.0 cleans all of that up. The tool calling is more consistent. The outputs are more predictable, and when something does go wrong, the error messages are actually useful. You can trace back through the logs and see exactly where the pipeline broke and why. For anyone running this in a serious business context, this matters a lot, because the cost of debugging a broken AI pipeline is real. Time you spend figuring out why something failed is time you're not spending on growth. Now let me give you a sense of how all of this fits together in a real deployment, because this is where I think the true power of V0.6.0 becomes clear. Imagine you're running the AI profit boardroom. You want to automate your content operation. Here's what a Hermes V6 setup could look like. You've got a multi-agent profile for research, another for writing, another for quality checking content before it goes live. Each profile is pre-configured and saved. You expose Hermes as an MCP server, so your scheduling tool can call it directly. When it's time to publish new content, the scheduler sends a request. Hermes kicks off the chain. Research agent goes first. Writing agent follows. QC agent checks it. Output goes back to the scheduler. If OpenAI is having issues that day, the fallback chain kicks in automatically. Claude picks up the work. Nothing breaks. Nothing stalls. Your logs are clean. Your outputs are consistent. And the whole thing runs without you touching it. That is a real automation stack. That is what V0.6.0 enables. Let me talk about how V0.6.0 stacks up against OpenClaw, because this is the question a lot of people are going to have. OpenClaw has been the go-to for multi-agent workflows for a while now, and the reason is simple. It had features that other tools didn't. Native multi-agent orchestration, strong tool integration, good reliability in production. Hermes V6 now has all of that. Multi-agent profiles give Hermes the same kind of orchestration capability, and server mode gives it the same kind of integration flexibility. Feedback provider chains give it reliability on par with anything OpenClaw offers. The question is no longer should I use OpenClaw instead of Hermes. The question is which one fits my stack better. And honestly, for a lot of people, Hermes is going to win that comparison, especially if you're already running local models through Ultima, or if you want more control over your provider setup, or if you want something that you can expose as a service to other tools. Hermes has always been more flexible at the configuration level. V0.6.0 just removed the ceiling that was holding it back. Let me also flag something that I think is going to matter more and more over the next few months. The MCP server mode in particular is a sign of where the whole space is going. We are moving away from AI tools that just do one thing in isolation. We are moving toward AI systems that talk to each other, where agents call agents, where your whole business can be connected through a layer of AI that handles tasks, routes information, and makes decisions automatically. Hermes V6 was designed for that world, and the people who start building in that world now are going to have a serious advantage over the people who wait. Because this is not about replacing your team. This is about giving your team leverage. One person running a Hermes-powered workflow can do what used to take 3 or 4 people. That is not hype. That is what we're seeing inside AI Profit Boardroom right now. Let me wrap this up with a quick recap of everything VR.6.0 brings. Multi-agent profiles. Define your agents once. Call them anytime. Chain them together for full pipeline automation. MCP server mode. Hermes becomes a service. Other tools can call it. You can slot it into any system. Fallback provider chains. Multiple AI providers in sequence. If one goes down, the next one picks up. Your workflows keep running. Production-ready tooling. Better logging. Better error handling. More reliable tool calling. Clean outputs you can actually trust. This is a release that makes Hermes a serious contender in the production multi-agent space. If you've been sleeping on it, now is the time to wake up. Now, if you want the full process, SOPs, and over 100 AI use cases like this one, join the AI Profit Boardroom. Learn how to automate your workflows with tools like Hermes Agent and scale your business with AI automation. And if you want free access to all the video notes, prompts, and a community of 45,000 members who are crushing it with AI, join the AI Success Lab. It's completely free. Link is in the comments and description. You'll get everything from this video plus way more in there. New free Hermes AI Agent update is insane. You're paying for AI tools every single month. And most of them forget everything the second you close the tab. You start over. Every single time. You're basically teaching your AI assistant who you are from scratch again and again. That's wasted time. That's a broken workflow. And there is a better way. There is a free open source AI agent that actually learns from you, remembers you, and gets smarter the longer you use it. And it just dropped one of the biggest updates we've seen this year. This update dropped on March 17th, 2026, and it is packed with changes. We're talking streaming, voice mode, a plugin system, IDE integration, better memory, and way more. I'm going to walk you through everything that matters and show you why this tool deserves your attention right now. So first, what is Hermes Agent? It's a free open source AI agent built by Noose Research, the same lab behind the Hermes, Nomos, and Psyche AI models. The tagline is the agent that grows with you. It builds an actual model of who you are and how you work, and it gets better the longer you run it. Nearly 10,000 stars on GitHub. The community is paying attention. And here's the thing I want you to sit with for a second. Most AI tools are tied to your laptop. You close your laptop, the work stops. Hermes is different. You can run it on a $5 VPS in the cloud. It keeps working while you sleep. You can message it from Telegram on your phone while it's running tasks on a server you never even open. That alone changes how you think about AI agents. Now let's get into this update because V0.3.0 is massive. I'm going to walk through the biggest changes so you know exactly what's new and what it means for how you actually use this thing. The first huge change is unified streaming. Before this update, responses came back as one big block of text when the model finished thinking. Now, tokens stream in real time, word by word in the CLI and in every messaging platform like Telegram and Discord. It sounds small. It doesn't feel small when you're actually using it. It makes the whole experience feel much more alive and responsive. The second big one is the plugin architecture. This is a developer-friendly change that opens up Hermes in a big way. You can now drop a Python file into a folder called .hermes/plugins, and Hermes picks it up automatically. No forking the code base, no complicated setup. You write a file, you drop it in, and Hermes now has whatever custom tools, commands, or logic you added. This makes it genuinely extensible for anyone who wants to build on top of it. Third, and this one is big for people using Claude, there is now a native Anthropic provider. Before this update, if you wanted to use Claude models with Hermes, it went through OpenRouter as a middle layer. That's gone now. Hermes can call the Anthropic API directly. It also includes support for prompt caching, which means repeated information in your conversations costs less to process. If you have a Claude subscription or API access, this is a direct, clean connection now. Now let's talk about voice mode. This is brand new in v0.3.0. You can now use push to talk in the CLI, send voice notes via Telegram and Discord, and even join Discord voice channels directly with Hermes. And here's the part that matters, local transcription using a tool called Faster Whisper. That means your voice notes can be transcribed on your own machine without sending audio to a third party. That's a real privacy win, and it keeps the tool free to use even for voice features. Another upgrade is concurrent tool execution. Before, when Hermes needed to run multiple tools in one turn, it ran them one at a time. Now it runs independent tool calls in parallel using threads. Multi-step tasks that used to run sequentially are now faster. There's also a new smart approval system. If you've used Hermes before, you know it asks before running certain commands in the terminal. This update makes that smarter. It learns which commands you've already said are safe and remembers your preferences. You're not approving the same things over and over. And there's now a /stop command that kills the current agent run immediately if you want to cancel something mid-task. Now let me pause here for a second. When I first started going deep on AI agents, I was honestly overwhelmed. There are so many tools, so many updates, and it's hard to know what's actually worth your time. That's when I found a community called AI Profit Boardroom. Over 2,000 members all focused on learning AI together and sharing what actually works. It's where I figured out which workflows genuinely save time versus which ones waste it. The community shares real use cases and practical implementations. If you're serious about using AI to improve your work and your skills, check it out. Link is in the description. Okay, back to the update. Let's talk about IDE integration. Hermes now works as an agent backend for VS Code, Zed, and JetBrains through something called ACP, which is short for Agent Communication Protocol. That means you can connect your code editor directly to Hermes and use it as an intelligent assistant inside the editor itself. Full/command support included. This is a big deal if you do any kind of development work. There's also persistent shell mode now for local and SSH terminal backends. What that means in practice is that your shell state stays alive across tool calls. If Hermes changes a directory, that change sticks. Environment variables you set, aliases you configure, they all persist. Before this, every tool call was basically a fresh shell. Now there's continuity, which makes multi-step tasks much more reliable. The memory system also got upgraded. Hermes now prioritizes your personal preferences and corrections above everything else when recalling information. So if you tell it how you like things done, it weights that more heavily in future sessions. There's also better isolation in multi-user gateway mode. So if you're running this in a team or group chat context, each user's memory stays separate. And here's something I want to call out specifically because it matters for a lot of people, PII redaction. When you turn this on in your config, Hermes automatically scrubs personally identifiable information before sending your conversation context to any AI provider. If you're working with sensitive data, this is a feature you want to know exists. The skills ecosystem also got new additions. There are now built-in skills for linear project management, x/Twitter, telephony via Twilio, 1Password, and even Blender for 3D modeling. These are community-contributed skills that live on what they call the Skills Hub at agentskills.io, and they're all compatible with Hermes out of the box. And one more thing worth mentioning, Hermes works with over 200 models through OpenRouter. You can also connect it directly to OpenAI, NosePortal, Kimi, Minimax, and Vercel's AI Gateway, which was added in this update. You switch with a single command. No code changes, no lock-in. You just type Hermes model and pick. Now let's talk about getting started because this is simpler than you might expect. One command. You open your terminal on Linux, Mac, or WSL2 and you run curl followed by the install script on GitHub. The installer handles Python, Node.js, all the dependencies, and the Hermes command. After that, you type Hermes setup, pick your model and provider, and you're talking to it. From there, you can set up cron jobs so it runs tasks on a schedule automatically. You can connect MCP servers to give it access to external tools. And you can start building up its memory and skills by just using it. Every complex task it completes is a chance to create a new reusable skill. This update is one of the most complete I've seen from an open source AI project. Over 50 bug fixes, new features across every platform, better performance, better privacy, and a foundation that makes the tool genuinely more powerful over time. If you haven't tried Hermes yet, now is a great time to start. If you're using it before, run Hermes update and get on v0.3.0. If you're looking to dive deeper into AI tools and actually implement them in your work, I recommend AI Profit Boardroom. Over 2,000 people learning how to use AI effectively. Everyone shares real experiences. What's working? What's not? Which tools are worth your time? Which ones to skip? No hype. Just solid information and practical guidance from people doing the work. It's helped me stay on top of updates and figure out how to actually apply them. Link is in the description if you want to check it out. And if you want the full process, SOPs, and over 100 AI use cases like this one, join the AI Success Lab. Links are in the comments and description. You'll get all the video notes from there, plus access to our community of 58,000 members who are doing serious work with AI.
Today, I'm going to be running you through Hermes AI agent, exactly how to use it, how it works step by step, how you can use this to automate and build anything that you want to, and some of the best use cases for getting started with this. Now, you can install Hermes AI agent in literally 60 seconds. It's super easy. You just follow the terminal commands right here, and then you can get started. And from everything that I've tested, you know me, you've probably seen my videos, like I've tested pretty much every single AI agent out there in the world. And this is by far the most practical and useful and the most autonomous. In fact, it's to the point now where it actually shocks me in terms of what it can do. And also it's so powerful in terms of, it can almost do anything that I throw at it, right? And also this is open source, is built by one of the most respected AI research labs in the world, News Research, and it's a self-improving agent. So the cool thing about this is the more you use it, the more powerful it gets, the better it gets, the smarter the prompts get, the smarter the skills get. And I'll show you some real automations in terms of what I'm doing and what I'm building with it directly today. It's super powerful. I can show you an example right now, to be fair. So if we have a look, for example, at my Twitter account over here, right? You can see this Twitter account right here. It's now actually posting directly to Twitter, like you can see on this account, right? So this is a fully AI autonomous Twitter account that's just posting content and creating like really good content, like better than I could actually create it. So it comes up with a nice headline, it writes the content itself, it writes a nice little story about how I'm using Hermes AI agent, and then it even adds a image right here. And I'll talk you through how to do stuff like this because it's absolutely wild how powerful this is and how easy it is to use. And also if you're using something like, for example, I mean, look at that, that's already got 400 views and it's just been posted today, right? Like, it's crazy stuff. And this is on like a brand new X account, a new Twitter account, like you can see, and it's posting content, it's creating awesome tweets. They're actually super useful, creating awesome hooks on the actual tweets themselves. And this is fully automated with the power of Hermes AI agent. You can see, for example, here's another post that it did earlier, right? So this is another one, and it just created like a step-by-step tutorial on how to use itself. So there's all sorts of stuff you can do with this, all sorts of crazy use cases for this. And if you're wondering, okay, how do I get started? How do I use this? What can I use it for? Are there any roadmaps for using this, etc.? I'll guide you through it in a second. So let's come on to this, and I'm going to guide you through the powerful way to get this set up. Now, if you're wondering, okay, what is Hermes AI agent? Well, let me talk you through it. It's a self-improving AI agent by News Research, right? So it's not like ChatGPT, for example. You don't go back and forth with it, just using it as like a glorified Google. This is something way more autonomous, way more powerful. It's a full automation engine that's running 24/7, learning from its own experiences, creating its own skills, and then I've got it plugged into Telegram, which means that it can actually reply to me and answer me in real time, that sort of thing, right? Now, also you get built-in scheduled tasks. So, for example, if we go back to this Twitter account right here where it's posting, right, you can see that it's scheduling posts like every 30 minutes, like you can see. And this does the same thing on my Instagram too. So I can show you an example of how it's working on Instagram. But yeah, it's doing something similar on there too. And even, for example, on TikTok and other platforms, like it's a full-on marketing machine. And it's not just useful for marketing as well. Like it's helping me with SEO. It's helping me with automating pretty much every process I throw at it. And the way that I'm using this, let me talk you through the step-by-step process. So when I'm using something like Hermes AI agent, I basically look at, okay, what am I spending time on? Or what is my team struggling with that would be way more powerful if I got something like this to help me, right? And so that's basically how we use Hermes or any sort of AI agent. We analyze, okay, where are we spending time? And then how can we automate directly with something like Hermes or directly with something like, for example, AI agents like OpenClaw, right? But there is a big difference between OpenClaw and Hermes. So I'll give you an example, right? So Hermes, it actually, I mean, look at this. So Hermes is running in the cloud, right? So it's running, for example, with my Telegram. And so I don't need it running locally. There's actually like a setup with Hermes where it can basically like just answer me inside Telegram directly, right? So you can see an example right here, right, where it's responding to me in Telegram. Now it's not running inside my terminal. It was installed locally, but I don't even have terminal open right now. And that's the power of this, is it's running fully 24/7 locally. Now that's quite different to something like, for example, OpenClaw. If you look at OpenClaw, right, this is the gateway for OpenClaw. You can see it's not running. Now why is that down? It's down because I haven't got my terminal open with OpenClaw running right now, right? And so that's a big difference right here in terms of like how it works, what you can do, etc. Now, also you can see here that the way the Hermes replies to me, right, is it feels like a very sort of autonomous AI agent. It's like, you're right, looking at the scheduled tasks, this needs to improve, here's how we're going to do it. And it's very focused on solutions, not problems. If you ask something like OpenClaw sometimes to help you fix something, it really struggles. Whereas if you're using something like Hermes AI Agent, it's a lot more autonomous. It focuses a lot more on solutions, not problems. And it just seems to fix things, right? It seems to like make a mistake, but that's okay because it's not going to make it again, right? So you can see, for example, here, it's like, here's the problem, here's the solution, and here's how we're going to fix it next time. For example, with this, it was looking at Twitter, it's analyzing my content and going, yeah, it could be better. It's not as good as it should be. So here's what we're going to do next. And so now it's actually created a new update to the skill MD file. And you can see here, it's like, it's going to work again in 30 minutes, and I'll send you the link later. Right? And so this is basically how it works for everything that we're using it for. That's what I mean by self-improving skills. It's constantly updating its skills MD files, and it's writing new skills based on what it needs to improve as well. Now, additionally, you can now, with the new update from Hermes, this just got announced today. With the new update from Hermes, what it can actually do now is it can, for example, take backup API keys. And what that means, for example, is like, if one of your APIs fails, which it can sometimes, you can have a backup. So you could have, for example, Minimax running, which I do, Minimax M2.7. And then if it fails, I could have, for example, Kimi as a backup. Or I could have 200 different models on the Open Router. Or I could even have like the News Portal, right? Which is which actually like the AI models that News Research have built, right? So the founders of Hermes Agent are, again, one of the most respected AI labs in the world, and they've created their own AI agency you can use called Hermes, right? If you actually go to Open Router and check this out, type in Hermes over here, right? You'll see there's a bunch of models that you can get access to, right, with Hermes. And you can plug this into your Hermes AI agent and then start working them right here. And there's something even more interesting with this, right, which is there's a new model from China, Alibaba's Qwen 3.6 Plus, which is in preview. Now, why is that useful? It's useful because it's free. And this is a flagship model. This is a frontier model from Alibaba. And it's got a 1 million token context window, right? So 1 million token context window. And this is free to use, right? So you don't need to pay for the API. But you can plug this into your AI agents. So you can use this inside OpenClaw. This literally just dropped today. And Qwen 3.5 was already pretty good. Qwen 3.6 Plus preview is free to use with a bigger token context window, and you can just plug it into your APIs. Now, the other cool thing about this is it's designed for agentic coding. It's designed for agentic tasks, right? Where would you use an agentic API? You would use it inside something like OpenClaw, or for example, something like Claude Code or Hermes Agent, right? And you can see the top 5 apps that are being used with Alibaba right now are Kilo Code, OpenClaw, Klein, Claude Code, and Hermes Agent. Now, if you actually check out the usage stats of Hermes Agent, it is popping off, right? It's getting more and more people are using it, and it's becoming more and more popular. Now, I actually use Minimax M2.7 with it right now. Hunter Alpha would be quite an interesting one, but I think that's actually been removed from the market now. It's actually, I think it turned out to be GLM 5.1 Turbo, if I remember correctly. The main point is, like, you can plug in whatever API you want into this, and bear in mind, this is number 2 in personal agents. Right, so you can see here, OpenClaw is number 1, Hermes Agent is number 2, and a lot of people, particularly on Twitter, are moving over from OpenClaw to Hermes Agent. One of the best things about the setup with just want to try it. Well, they actually have for migrating over. So if, for example, type this in your terminal, once you've installed Hermes, you can type Hermes claw migrate, and that will actually migrate everything over from from OpenClaw directly to Hermes AI agent right there. Founder says, hello, good to see you here, sir. So that's basically how I'm using it, how I automate with it, what sort of tools you can use with it as well directly. I'm actually going to grab an API key from OpenRouter, and then I'm going to plug it into Hermes agent, and I'm going to say use Alibaba's new model as a backup, right? So let's try that right now. I'm going to go into the settings of OpenRouter. I'll do this in background. Obviously, I'm not going to show my API key on a live stream, but if we grab a key in the background, let's test this out. And then I'm going to take the documentation from Quen 3.6, right, which you can use right here. So if you want to know exactly how to use Hermes for free, this is how you can do it, right? So you grab an API key from OpenRouter, you take the documentation for the API from OpenRouter, like so, and then you would go back to your Hermes AI agent, whether you got that in Telegram or wherever, with the API key for OpenRouter, and just say, okay, can you use this, right? So let's try that right now. And then I'm going to grab the link of the URL for Alibaba Quen 3.6 plus, and then just give it to Hermes as well, right? And so it can access that directly. So super powerful stuff, really easy to set up, really easy to get it going. There's some caveats to this. So like, it's still not 100% perfect. And what I mean by that is, for example, like it still, for example, does things that I'm like, why are you doing that, right? But you can see here, for example, we've actually plugged in the details of Quen 3.6, and now it's beginning to set that up directly for us, which is awesome. And so that was super simple and easy. And then it will put that inside its credentials, right? So we've talked about how to build in the scheduled tasks, how to use self-improving skills. You can use 200 different models via OpenRouter, including the free ones, so you know how to use it free as well directly, which is awesome. And then also you can have this inside Telegram, so it's just running in the cloud, right? Which means like you can access it from your phone or whatever. If you want to know how to install it, so this actually works on Linux, Mac OS, and Windows, right? So you can use it on Mac OS, Windows, Linux, whatever you want. This is how to set it up. So this is, you just run the one-liner install, reload the shell, run through the setup wizard, and then you can start chatting with it. And if you want to connect Telegram, you can use these commands. The commands for terminal are pretty easy and simple. And then if you're still struggling, then no problem, because what you can actually do is you can actually start using directly inside Claude Code. So you can just give the GitHub link to Claude Code and then go from there. Right? If you're wondering, okay, what can you do with this? Here are some commands. So you can run through the setup, you can switch LLMs, you can add tools and disable tools, you can start the gateway as well. It's really easy to update. So for example, version 0.6 just came out from Hermes today, and you can just use a command Hermes update to get that set up. And there's also a Hermes Doctor to fix as well. Now, additionally, what you can also do, there's a new update here. We can add multiple models. It's called agentic models inside Hermes. And what this means is basically you can add multiple different AI agents that work together, right? So if you go back to here, and we'll have a look at release version 0.6, right, which you can see right here. They have something called profiles, right? So profiles means that you can create multiple different AI agents that work together. The way that you would do that is you go into your terminal and you would type something like Hermes profile create, and then you just name whatever you want it. So for example, if you want to create a separate agent profile, completely different personality, completely different skills, completely different API skills, then you just create Hermes profile create. That's what you type, and then you name it. So it could be like Hermes profile create Twitter, Hermes profile create Julian Goldie, whatever you want, right? And then you can create this as you go along. So super powerful, easy to set up, doesn't take long at all. And from there, you can just build out whatever you want, right? Directly. Pretty simple and easy. Now, if you're wondering, okay, how do you build anything with this? Well, I would say every Hermes automations follows the same 6-step blueprint, right? And you master this once, and then you can automate whatever you want. So number one is like define your trigger. What's going to kick it off, right? So for example, every 30 minutes, check trending topics, draft a tweet, generate an image and post it to X, right? And then send me a Telegram confirmation with the live link. That's what we did for the Twitter automation. And then you define your data sources, right? Now, Hermes will typically tell you what data sources it wants. So for example, it could want the API for X and the developer platform if you were setting up an X automation. If you were setting up, for example, something like creating websites. Well, it might want your Netlify token because then it can deploy websites to Netlify directly as well. This bit I don't worry about, but then you want to define the action, right? So you want to make sure that you define, okay, what is it doing day to day? And then that's basically it. So you just give it you test it once and then you schedule it. And you can just say, okay, give me a test or run a test task inside Telegram and it will go off and do it. So you define the trigger, you give it the data sources, and then you test it. And that's pretty much it. That's a 3-step process right there for automating anything that you want with Hermes, as you can see. So what am I using right now? Well, for example, I use right now the auto poster, like you see on X, right, on Twitter. So it finds and creates really good content and then posts it directly. And then also you can see, for example, the competitor intelligence monitor. So this basically scans through like competitors and does research. And then it checks basically, okay, what content is trending and which content pieces are outliers. And then how can we create something similar or better, right? The same for the daily AI news scanner. So it can basically run live and it can check, okay, what's going on right now? It scans AI news sources 6 times daily and just delivers what matters. Now, when it does that, it's actually filtering, deduplicating, and formatting everything as well. So it will basically give me a breakdown of like what news topics are trending right now, and then how can we create content around those too. Right, which is pretty cool. And then also it will give me a daily analytics. So it will look through my analytics for social media and then give me a screenshot of my analytics dashboard, which is super useful inside Telegram too. That's basically how it works, right? Now, if you're wondering, okay, like how does everything connect together? Well, there's basically 4 layers, right, inside Hermes. So every automation runs through the same pipeline. If you understand this, you can build whatever you want. So step number 1 is schedule tasks. Step number 2 is the Hermes agent itself. And then you've got data and actions, right? So for example, connecting APIs directly to Hermes agent, and then that all gets delivered inside my Telegram. It could be for you, it could be WhatsApp, it could be, for example, your terminal, whatever you want. But basically, that's how to connect and build more layers, as you can see inside Hermes agent. And then you can also, for example, like if I want to generate like an image or a YouTube thumbnail, for example, I can Google's Nano Banana 2 API directly to Hermes, which I've done, and then it can generate images for me whenever I want, right? Which is pretty nice as well. So it works pretty nicely like this. And by the way, just coming back to Hermes here, you can see that it's saved as a backup model when the primary model fails, right? So this is a new update. And so you've got agentic profiles where you can create multiple agents. You've got this option where you've got Quen 3.6 plus 3.6 plus preview working for free. There's an API inside your Hermes agent. You can schedule tasks and you can automate whatever you want directly here. So for example, if we're like, okay, create a thumbnail about Hermes AI agent, it will just go off and do that, right? And it can generate it with Nano Banana 2, which is pretty cool. Shackle says, what is its brain, right? So its brain is the AI you plug into it. So for me, for example, I'm using Minimax 2.7 inside Hermes, but you can use whatever you, right? But that's the brain that I use directly inside here. So yeah, you can go with that. And then also, for example, you've got the actual infrastructure itself, right? So you've got the infrastructure from Noose Research for making itself improving. So for example, it's briefed to improve every single time and just keep improving all the time. So yeah, and then there's all sorts of stuff I could do in the future. Like for example, it'd be really powerful for SEO, on-page analysis, that sort of thing. It would be great for posting on LinkedIn. 2, weekly summary reports, like compiling the performance or even compiling like how much time I saved each week with AI automation, scanning through my inbox and just scanning like the newsletters and filtering out the most relevant stories. Then also like monitoring different communities and that sort of thing. But the main point here is like every automation is just a prompt with a schedule. If you want to simplify it as much as you can. So the more specific your prompt is, what to check, what to skip, how to format, where to send, the sharper the output is. And that's basically how it goes. All right. Now, if you want, let's see what we got here. So how many teams can it run? As many teams as you want, but I wouldn't overcomplicate it here, right? Like I would just make it super simple and easy and just use it the way that you want to use it, right? The more you can simplify this, the better it's going to be. But you could have, you could have multiple teams. Bear in mind as well, you can connect this to Paperclip. So if you want to build out like a full, accounting versus marketing team or something like that, well, then you could do that with Hermes and Paperclip. And Paperclip would help you structure the whole setup so that it looks a lot nicer. If you've never come across Paperclip, I've got a lot of training on YouTube about it, but basically this is a way to open source orchestrate your teams of AI agents. So they all work together. Here's an example, right? So you can have like a CEO agent with a organization chart. You can have OpenClaw and Claude Code all working together. And there is an extra GitHub setup for using Paperclip with Hermes as well. So that's one way you can do it directly there. So that's basically it, peeps. That's how to use and build anything with Hermes. I've walked you through the whole process, walked you through how to set up free APIs with this, walked you through how to create a full organization of AI agents, how to create multiple AI agent profiles, some of the automations that I've set up as well, I've walked you through too. And bear in mind, Hermes agent is free. And then the API from Alibaba is free as well for Qwen 3.6. So you can just try it. See what you think. I've shown you examples of it working. It's pretty amazing. Out of everything I've tested, it's been my favorite so far, and I think it's got a lot of potential. So it's pretty exciting, and it's definitely worth checking out. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get a full roadmap on this stuff, we've just added it inside the AI Profit Boardroom, right? So we've set up a full roadmap on how to use Hermes Agent, how to automate anything with it, a 30-day plan, and that's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. So we've got a 30-day roadmap in there on how to use Hermes AI agents. We show you exactly how to automate this stuff step by step. We've got 2,700 members in there, which is great because you can connect with people who are building AI agents with OpenClaw and Hermes. And if I had to choose between the two, I would go with Hermes at this point. Like, I think it's just going to get better. Bear in mind, it's only been released for like 30 days and it's already become way more powerful. Inside here, you get all my best training. So if you actually type in Hermes in the search bar, you'll see all my different roadmaps and trainings and that sort of thing. We've got quick deploy kits in there for Hermes. We have full 30-day roadmaps, 100 prompts on how to use this stuff. So it's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description. You can post inside the community and get help and support whenever you need it. You can also jump on weekly automation calls where we show you how to use stuff like Hermes as well. You can connect with people in your local city as well. And that's all inside here.
Hermes AI Super Agent. Automate anything. You're losing hours every week to repetitive tasks. You set up an AI tool. It works great. Then the next day, it has no idea who you are. Forgot everything. You start over again. That is not an assistant. That is a very expensive notepad. What if your AI actually remembered what it learned? What if it got smarter every single day you used it? What if it could run tasks while you sleep, reach you on Telegram, Discord, or Slack, and build its own new skills on the fly? That tool exists, and it is completely free. Hey, I'm Julian, your AI educator. And on this channel, I break down the AI tools that are actually worth your time. Today, we are looking at Hermes Agent, an open source AI super agent built by Noose Research. This one has been picking up serious momentum lately and is currently trending on GitHub. So let me show you exactly what it does, how it compares to other agents, and the best ways to use it. Stay with me, because the memory system alone is going to change how you think about AI agents. This is not a chatbot. This is not a coding assistant that only lives in your code editor. This is a self-improving agent that lives on your own server or machine, remembers what it learns across every single session, and gets more capable the longer you run it. Under the hood, it is powered by the Hermes 3 model built on Llama 3.1 and fine-tuned using a reinforcement learning framework called Atropos. That training specifically targets tool calling accuracy and long-range planning. So it does not just talk about doing things, it actually does them step by step, even across complex multi-step workflows. And here is the part that separates it from almost everything else out there right now. Most AI agents have a memory problem. They forget. Every new chat is a blank slate. You have to re-explain your project, your preferences, your context, everything, every single time. Hermes Agent solves this with a 3-layer memory system. The first layer is cross-session memory with FTS5 full text search and LLM summarization. The agent keeps a searchable database of all your past conversations, not just raw logs. It summarizes and indexes them so it can pull up the right context instantly when you need it. The second layer is called Honcho, the user modeling engine. Hermes does not just remember what you said, it builds a model of who you are, your work style, your preferences, your domain knowledge, and that model deepens over time. The longer you use it, the better it knows how to work with you specifically. The third layer is the skills system. This is the big one. When Hermes completes a complex task, it does not just finish and move on. It synthesizes that experience into a permanent skill document, a searchable markdown file stored in the agent skills IO format. The next time you ask it to do something similar, it queries its own library of skills and reuses what worked before. The agent literally gets smarter through experience, and you can see and edit those skill documents yourself. They are human readable, so you are never locked into a black box. Now, let me tell you what else it can do. Hermes Agent comes with over 40 built-in tools: web search, browser automation, terminal commands, file system access, vision, image generation, text-to-speech, code execution, and more. No configuration needed to get started. It supports 6 terminal backends: local, Docker, SSH, Singularity, Modal, and Daytona. You can run it on your own machine on a $5 VPS on a GPU cluster or on serverless infrastructure that costs nearly nothing when idle.
The messaging gateway connects Telegram, Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, Signal, and the command line all from a single process. Start a conversation on Telegram, pick it up in your terminal. You can even send voice memos and it will transcribe them. So you can literally be on your phone messaging your agent while it runs tasks on a cloud server you have not logged into. There is also a built-in cron scheduler you set using plain English. Send me a daily summary every morning at 8. Run a backup every Sunday night. Does it unattended while you are doing other things. And for complex workflows, it can spin up isolated sub-agents, each with their own conversation and their own terminal. Zero context pollution between work streams. Now let me talk about how this compares to what else is out there. Coding assistants like GitHub Copilot are tethered to your IDE and forget everything between sessions. Chatbot-style agents wrap around a single API and reset when you close the tab. Managed cloud agents can be powerful, but lock you into their platform, their models, and their pricing. Hermes is different in 3 specific ways. First, it runs on your infrastructure. Your code, your data, your workflows stay private. Nothing goes somewhere you did not choose. Second, you can use any model you want. Over 200 models through OpenRouter, plus Nose Portal, OpenAI, or your own endpoint. Swap with one command. No lock-in. Third, it actually improves over time. Most agents are the same on day 1 as day 100. Hermes on day 100 knows your projects, your patterns, and has built custom skills from your actual workflows. That is a fundamentally different kind of tool. The trade-off is setup needs a bit of terminal comfort, but the install is literally one line, and I will show you that now. By the way, figuring out which agents are worth the learning curve versus which ones are just hype was the hardest part when I started. That is when I found a community called AI Profit Boardroom, with over 2,000 members all focused on learning AI together and sharing what actually works. It taught me which workflows save time versus which ones waste it. The community shares real use cases and practical implementations. If you are serious about using AI to improve your work and skills, check it out. Link in the description. The install works on Linux, macOS, and WSL2 on Windows. One line in your terminal. Curl, FSL, HTTPS, sprites, raw, GitHub, usercontent.com, NAS, research, Hermes, agent, main, scripts, install, bash. That installs Python 3.11, sets up all dependencies, clones the repo, and gives you the Hermes command. No prerequisites, no sudo required. Then connect your model provider and you are running. If you want the messaging gateway for Telegram or Discord, run Hermes gateway setup and the wizard walks you through it. Now for the use cases, developer automation. Hermes can manage GitHub workflows, handle MLOps tasks, debug services, run tests, and build skills directly from your codebase so it never has to rediscover how your system works. It ships with over 40 bundled skills covering MLOps, GitHub, and research workflows right out of the box. So even on day 1, you're not starting from nothing. Personal AI agent, set it up on a small VPS, connect it to Telegram, and you have an always-on assistant that knows your projects and reaches you wherever you are. Schedule reports, get briefings, have it research topics while you are in a meeting. It is working even when you are not. Research and analysis, point it at a topic, have it pull sources, summarize findings, generate reports, and schedule those reports to land in your inbox automatically. Great for staying on top of fast-moving topics without spending hours doing it manually. Team collaboration, connect it to Slack or Discord and hook it up to MCP servers to extend its capabilities to basically any tool your team already uses.
One agent, shared across your whole team.
A few tips before you dive in. Use context files. Drop a context file into your project folder and every conversation in that project will be shaped by it. Put your goals, your tech stack, your preferences in there. It saves you from repeating yourself. Use the skills hub at agentskills.io. There is a growing library of community contributed skills you can install right away. You can also find skills on ClawHub, LobeHub, and GitHub. If you are coming from OpenClaw, run Hermes Claw Migrate, and it will pull in your settings, memories, skills, and API keys automatically. There is a dry run option to preview everything first. And if you're on Windows, use WSL2. Native Windows support is experimental and unsupported right now. So to wrap this up, Hermes Agent is free, open source, runs on your infrastructure, works with over 200 models, and gets smarter the longer you use it. It's not a one-click web app, but if you want an agent that compounds in value over time and keeps your data private, this is one of the most interesting tools out there right now. If you are looking to dive deeper into AI tools and actually implement them in your work, I recommend AI Profit Boardroom. Over 2,000 people learning how to use AI effectively. Everyone shares real experiences, what is working, what's not, which tools are worth your time, which ones to skip, no hype. Just solid information and practical guidance from people doing the work. Link in description if you want to check it out. And if you want the full process, SOPs, and 100 plus AI use cases like this one, join the AI Success Lab. Links in the comments and description. You will get all the video notes from there, plus access to our community of 58,000 members who are crushing it with AI. If this video was useful, hit like,
subscribe for more AI breakdowns like this, and I will see you in the next one.
Hermes agent versus OpenClaw. So a brand new AI agent just hit top of the charts on OpenRouter alongside OpenClaw and Claude. It's called Hermes Agent and it just dropped on GitHub complete free. Most people have never heard of it, but the people who have, they're saying it's doing things OpenClaw can't. Now, I'm not here to tell you who wins. I'm here to actually test it and then you can judge yourself. Now, we've got Hermes Agent ready right here. It's working directly with Minimax Olama, so we're running it for free. And today we're putting Hermes Agent and OpenClaw head-to-head on some real tasks, some instructions, some goals, and we'll see which one actually gets the job done. So if Hermes Agent is a real deal, we'll find out together today. And you might be wondering, okay, what's the difference between these? Well, this is a self-improving AI agent, right? So for example, with Hermes, what you're doing basically is each time it messes up a problem or each time it completes a task, it actually creates a setup where it learns from it, right? So it writes down as a memory, okay, what were the mistakes I did last time or what worked last time? And then how can I improve in the future? Which means the more you use it, the better it's going to get. Now, if you look at what's trending right now, you can see Hermes Agent right at the top of the charts, right? So refresh here. And also you can see this is being used and it's number 2 in personal agents, right? So you got 2 AI agents that are absolutely crushing it at the top. And in terms of personal agent rankings, you've got Hermes Agent right up there with OpenClaw. Some people actually prefer Hermes Agent to OpenClaw. There's also a bunch of skills you can add to this. There's a free extension called Awesome Hermes Agent. And with that, you get a curated list of awesome skills, tools, and integrations and resources for Hermes Agent directly. And bear in mind, you can run it directly for free using Telegram with a combination of Olama and a combination of Minimax M2.7 Cloud, right? Now, if we open these up side by side, the one thing I will say is like it took me a little bit more of a technical setup to get Hermes Agent working, right? Actually, I got Hermes Agent installed with Claude Code, just took the plugin and the GitHub link like this, went into Claude Code, asked it to set it up for me, and it did it, but it was struggling with the Olama setup. So it did take a bit longer. However, at the same time, if it improves, if it gets better every single time, I think that's going to be better than OpenClaw and probably has a better memory too. So let's try something out just as a little test here side by side, right? If we take the AI Profit Boarding website, we plug that into OpenClaw, and we'll plug it into Telegram in a second as well. We say create a new, beautiful, fun, interesting website for this, plus deploy it locally, plus give me the local host address. Let's see if it can do that, right? And we'll do the same inside Telegram here too with Hermes Agent, right? Now, you can also run Hermes Agent directly inside Terminal too. So if you want to see an example of that, you can see us running it directly inside the terminal over here. So you don't have to run it inside Telegram. You can run it locally, and it is running locally in the background. You can also set up with Terminal a background runner for Hermes Agent. So it's always running, it's always online, that sort of thing. The other thing I would say is like, it seems to be pretty lightweight, Hermes Agent versus OpenClaw. It feels like OpenClaw just slows down my my computer's a lot more than Hermes Agent actually does. But you can see they're both working side by side right here. So it'd be interesting to know, okay, which one performs the best, which one gets the fastest results, and which one absolutely struggles. So they're working side by side right here. So we've got Hermes on the right-hand side, and we have OpenClaw in the middle too. They're both using the same API, by the way. They're both using Minimax M2.7 Cloud on Olama. The reason that I didn't use it inside Telegram is like you can't have super long messages inside Telegram. So that's why I'm going to switch over to using the gateway for OpenClaw and the terminal for Hermes, right? Now, in the meantime, let's talk about what is Hermes Agent, who it's founded by, and that sort of thing, right? So Hermes Agent is a free open source AI agent built by a company called Noose Research. Noose Research is a well-known AI lab focused on open source models and tools. The project always has, I think it already has about, 11,600 stars on GitHub, has over 142 contributors as well. And the tagline says it all, right? The agent that grows with you. Now, OpenClaw is a similar sort of free open source AI agent, but the difference is the OpenClaw doesn't self-improve every single time unless you set up a learning MD file. And even then it struggles with it, right? So OpenClaw is an AI agent that's great at running tasks and talking to your messaging apps. Hermes AI agent does all of that, but actually learns and improves all the time, right? And so the differentiator right here is that the learning loop is the game changer. It doesn't just do things like OpenClaw, it can build skills from experience and get better at them the more you use it, right? So if you're wondering, okay, like how does that work side by side? Well, you can see some examples right here and what it could do, right? So basically, it can save useful workflows as reusable skills. It's got a good memory, so it stores facts about you inside its environment that makes the future sessions better. If you correct it, it actually remembers it with user feedback, and it's got logging, right? So for example, it's scheduled tasks and daily digest track on what works and what doesn't. So all these things are about learning, right? Improving, getting better. And then also you got updates. So it pushes improvements to the underlying model itself. So the main thing here is like it's not making the same mistake twice every single time. Now you can see they're both taking a little while to create the new setup. I'm going to say where you're up to on this. Also, you might be wondering, okay, which messaging platforms can you use with Hermes? So with Hermes, you got Telegram, Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, Signal, and email. The one that's a big differentiator here is actually email, right? Like I don't see anyone using OpenClaw with email, but I think in a working environment, you would probably use email a lot more than you would, for example, Telegram or WhatsApp. Now, if we actually compare these side by side, you can see here that you're actually getting updates with Hermes, right? Whereas, for example, with OpenClaw, it's struggling, right? It's not really giving me any updates on what's going on or what's happening, right? So you see here, it's like, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, then I'm going to deploy it. It's actually deployed the website faster as well. So if we want to view the web page here, it should be available. Let's have a look inside the chat. Yeah, that's a website that Hermes has created, right? It looks pretty nice. It's pretty clean, and it operated faster and completed the task faster than OpenClaw. Whereas OpenClaw is still struggling, and it's not really giving me any updates. It's not really telling me what's going on, and it's a lot slower to actually operate too. Now we've finally got the example page right here. So let's open this up. And if we compare them side by side, I would actually say that Hermes has done a much nicer job, right? So if we have a look at Hermes, this is a page from Hermes, right? It's looking pretty nice. They're both using the same API, by the way. They're both using the same model behind it. Hermes and its local page here looks a lot nicer than the page from OpenClaw, which you can see here, and it just looks a bit more basic. Even the font I don't like, to be honest with you. And it was also slower at completing the task. Plus, it struggled to give me updates whilst it was working. So, I mean, Hermes has actually outperformed OpenClaw directly right there. I'm not saying one is better than the other because it depends on like what you want. But I think if you want something that gets better every time you use it, then you would probably go with Hermes, right, at this point. And I've seen the project growing a lot more as well. Now, you can also do scheduled tasks inside Hermes in the same way you would with OpenClaw. It's got 40 built-in tools. And if you're wondering where it runs or how it runs, so it's got like a bunch of different backends. You can use, for example, local, you can use Docker, SSH, you've got Singularity, Modal, etc. Bunch of options right there. And here's something that's really interesting. So Hermes have actually got a built-in OpenClaw migration tool. This is inside the onboarding. When you run through the onboarding with Hermes, it has this option for operating and migrating directly from OpenClaw. So if you're like, do you know what, I want to test this, but I don't want to set everything up from scratch again. Well, you don't need to, because if you've already got OpenClaw set up and you're already using it, you can just use the command, or you can ask Hermes directly, you know, inside the onboarding to switch and import everything from OpenClaw from your setup. So which one wins? Which one is better? Well, I'd say OpenClaw is better because it's got a better community. So if you want that, it's better. It's familiar to most people watching this, right? If you watch this, you've probably seen a lot of tutorials about OpenClaw and that sort of thing. It's well tested, and also it's got more support. Now with Hermes Agent, it is a little bit more technical to set up, but it's got a self-learning skills system built in that I've not seen anywhere else, right? It's got tons of AI models. It works inside everywhere else as well, and it tends to be faster, and it's got an official migration path from OpenClaw, right? So that's basically how it works step by step. So just to recap, here's everything you need. Hermes is a free open source AI agent built by News Research. OpenClaw is also a free open source AI agent that many people already use, right? But Hermes has a learning loop. It creates and improves skills automatically over time. And it works on 6 messaging apps. It supports over 200 AI models. It has a built-in scheduler. You can run Hermes serverless for almost free when you're not using it. Bear in mind, you can run it for free as well inside Minimax with Olama, which is what I've done today. And there's a one-command migration tool to move OpenClaw to Hermes if you want. Both tools are free and open source. There's no wrong or right choice here, but I would say if you want something that's self-improving and gets better over time, then go with Hermes, right? So if you want to get a 30-day roadmap, a full step-by-step guide, and some frameworks on using this stuff, you can get it inside the Profit Boarding for Hermes Agent. We've got tons of training on that, and also on OpenClaw too. And this is my AI automation community that helps you learn, grow, save time, and improve with AI automation, right? So if you want to get my best tutorials, step-by-step guides, if you want to connect with a community of awesome people, you can check this out inside the AI Profit Boarding. You can ask questions and get support whenever you need it too. Right now, inside the calendar, you can jump on weekly video coaching calls where you can jump on a live call and get help and support in real time. You can also connect with people inside the map locally And then you can get access to all of my best trainings. At this point, we actually have over 140 pages of testimonials, wins, and people just growing and improving. Lots of great reviews on the AI Profit Boardroom, as you can see right here. It's pretty much an infinite scroll at this point. And then also inside the classroom, you can get my best training. So you can, for example, go from beginner to expert with AI automation, learn how to build your first AI agent in under 5 minutes. You can also get my best playbooks on how to automate AI avatar videos, shorts, Instagram, newsletters, Twitter, etc. If you want to learn how to get more clients, you can check out the agency course over here. If you want to get new daily updates and everything, you can get that right here. New video tutorials and guides, along with a 6-hour course on how to use OpenClaw. If you want to watch about the coaching course, you can watch them over here. If you want to learn how to rank number 1 with AI SEO, you've got that there. And then also you can learn how to grow a YouTube channel based on what's working for me. And that's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comment description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com to get access.
Today, we're going to be checking out a new agent called Hermes Agent. This is an AI agent that apparently grows with you. So you can install it on your machine, give it access to your messaging accounts. It becomes a persistent personal agent that grows with you, learning your projects, building its own skills, and reaching you wherever you are. And this is going to be interesting to test out. So it's an autonomous agent that lives on your server, remembers what it learns, and gets more capable every time it runs. They are growing really, really fast. As an example here, they went from 41 to 21 top apps in the world on OpenRouter, which is pretty insane. So they are growing all the time. If anyone's watching this live and you don't have, or if you've been using Hermes, just let me know. I'd be interested to know, because I've seen this grown really, really quick. And this is an open source AI agent, so it remembers what it learns, gets more capable, has a multi-level memory system, and persistent dedicated machine access. Also, even OpenRouter gave a shout out to Hermes agent as well, which is pretty big in itself. I've never seen OpenRouter do that. Let's have a look inside here as well. So if we go to the app section and we go inside the fastest growing here, yeah, look at this. So in terms of productivity, OpenClaw is right at the top and Hermes is just below it, right? So you can see here that it is growing really, really quickly. It's only been active since February. So it's number 2 in productivity, number 2 in personal agents. This is getting big, which is crazy stuff. So I'm excited to test out, see how it performs, and we'll get straight into this. So you can see that it gives us commands on how to get it set up. So let's try it. And I really want to know, like, how does it perform against something like, for example, like OpenClaw? You know, is it as good as OpenClaw? Is it at the same level, etc.? So we're going to get it set up. As you can see, seems pretty simple and easy. Like, it's just a one-click setup. And then I think we just need to, so we just need to reload the shell. Let's try that. And then configure the LLM provider. And that looks like it's set up. All right. And then I think we just need to configure the LLM provider. So let's try that. So we can add a API key, or we can log in with OpenAI Codex. Let's try that one. And we just have to enable this setting inside ChatGPT to allow us to use OAuth with Hermes. So we've done that. Then we'll come back and we should just need to refresh this page and then get the code from terminal. And boom shakalaka, we're in, my friends. Now we can add an OpenRouter API key for tools. So for example, like vision analysis, web search, and that sort of thing. I'm not, you know what? Why don't we do that? Why don't we set that up? So I'm going to set that up in the background right now. If you want to get an API key for OpenRouter, you just go to API keys latency here and then click on create. And then once you've done that, you can see that we've got this set up like so. Now we can also switch in terms of provider, so local browser, blah, blah, blah. And then we can add a file key if we want to generate images. You can also add 11 labs and voice activation here too. I'm going to skip that for now, skip this. And then we should be good with the setup. Then I think the final step is we can start chatting with it like so. So if we go inside here, type in Hermes, boom, we're in. All right. And then you can see a bunch of available skills like so. It doesn't seem to run inside its own gateway.
Although it does, I don't know. You can add a messaging gateway like so. So I guess you can do it that way. So you can start the messaging gateway that way for Telegram and everything else. Otherwise, you would just use the CLI like you can see right here. So if I say code out a nice website for, or let's try this. Code out an AI calculator for the AI profit boarding community. For saving time with AI automation. See if it can do that. In the meantime, let's have a look what questions we got here. So Love Patel says, just got OpenClaw installed inside my system. Congrats. And then, can you give your course for free? Yeah, we have a free version of our course. Go to the AI Success Lab and you can check it out. Comes with tons of free training. Hello from the Philippines. Welcome here, sir. That is taking a fair amount of time. Look at that. I am running this on a, what am I running this on? Let's have a look here about this Mac. So it's MacBook Air, M4 2025, memory 16 gigabyte. Maybe that's why. But it does seem like super slow when I'm using this. Like if we did the exact same thing with OpenClaw, it'd be a lot faster. I also don't like the UI. Like it should have some sort of gateway. I know you can set up the gateway with something like Telegram or Discord and that sort of thing. So that's probably a much better way of handling it. But the main point here is like, first impressions, OpenClaw is still my favorite. But I think when I first used OpenClaw, I didn't even see the magic in that. So I don't like to judge too early on that sort of thing. These are just my first impressions and first thoughts I see it. So it's music now. So it is taking a fair amount of time. In the meantime, let me run you through what is Hermes Agent. So Hermes Agent is a brand new AI agent built by News Research. News Research, one of the most respected AI labs in the world. They're the team behind the famous Hermes family of AI models, and actually have dozens of top researchers working for their team. Now, this agent launched on February the 26th, 2026, just 2 weeks ago. It's 100% free and open source with the MIT license. You might be thinking, okay, what makes it different? So here's a big idea. So Hermes Agent gets smarter the more you use it. So most agents are like a notebook. You write stuff in, you read stuff back, that's it. Hermes Agent is more like a brain. It doesn't just store information, it learns from it, right? So when it solves a hard problem, it saves the solution as a reusable skill. So next time you ask something similar, it doesn't just start from scratch. It pulls out what it's already learned and builds on top of it. Over weeks and months, it becomes your AI agent. It wouldn't be growing to number 2 in personal AI agents unless it was very powerful. So it's really interesting to see what people are doing with it and that sort of thing. And in terms of the features, so it's got self-improving memory loop, right? So it curates its own memory. It creates skills automatically from experience. It improves those skills whilst using them. And it searches its own past conversations, right? It builds a deeper understanding of you over time. It has built-in sandboxing, so Docker containers. There's 6 ways to run it. So local, Docker, SSH, Daytona, Singularity, and Modal. Or you can run it on a server. 40 built-in tools, so web search, browser automation, terminal commands, file management, image generation, text-to-speech. I did like that inside the setup. Like it asked me for the API for the text-to-speech, which I think would be really awesome. If you can talk back and forth a lot easier than you can with OpenClaw, then that would be great. Cross-platform messaging, so Telegram, Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, and CLI. And it works with any model, right? And it's built for AI researchers. This is an interesting thing. So it can generate thousands of training data samples in parallel, right? And you can export conversations for fine-tuning new models. The other thing that I would say, it was quicker to set up than OpenClaw, right? It did seem pretty simple and easy, but I would say that's a tie. In terms of memory, so here's one of the biggest differences, right? So with memory, OpenClaw stores memory as local markdown files. It's like a simple filing cabinet. Hermes Agent has a self-improving learning loop, right? So auto creates skills, searches past conversations, builds a model of who you are, right? And in this category, probably the self-improving loop is genuinely next level if that actually works. It's an ecosystem. So there's 40 built tools, but I would say OpenClaw for sure wins on ecosystem size, right? Like there's just so many skills out there, so many community skills for OpenClaw that it wins. But probably most of the skills that you can install inside OpenClaw, you could install inside Hermes as well. And then this is an interesting one as well. With messaging platforms, OpenClaw has a lot more platforms you can actually talk across. It has 50, whereas Hermes has 5, right? But for security, OpenClaw has had some issues, right? Whereas Hermes Agent has sandboxing and Docker isolation built in, which is, better for security for sure. And then the other difference here is like OpenClaw was built by one developer, whereas Hermes Agent was built by News Research, with dozens of researchers and the same team building the AI models it runs on. So Hermes Agent probably wins in the long term. and community size as well. OpenClaw wins for sure. So in terms of the unique superpower, I would say OpenClaw's unique superpower is heartbeat system. It wakes up every 30 minutes, practically does work without you asking. Hermes agent superpower is self-improving learning loops and research-grade training data generation. Now I'll come on to which one you should pick in a second, but I want to see where this is up to so far. So it's actually created the HTML here. I'm going to say open this up. See if it can do that. So you can see Hermes agent working over here. It's on the right-hand side. In the meantime, let's talk about who you should pick. So, I would pick OpenClaw if you want the biggest community and the most tutorials. You need tons of messaging platforms. You want tons of pre-built skills. You're more of a set it up and use it person. And you want a proactive agent that just checks itself on its own. Whereas, for example, if you want an agent that literally gets smarter over time, you care about security, you want something backed by a serious AI research lab, you're an AI developer or researcher, or if you wanted to run it on like a VPS, then Hermes agent might be better. And pick both if you're someone who likes to experiment, right? You don't have to pick one or the other. For me, for example, I would pick both and try them both and just test and iterate both, depending on what I see out there. So thanks so much for watching. That is the difference between Hermes agent and OpenClaw. You've seen me test it. You've seen how it works. You've seen it step by step. All the notes from today are inside the AI Profit Boarding. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoarding.com. You see Hermes agent is still working over here. And this is my AI automation community that helps you save time, grow, and scale with AI automation. You can ask questions inside the community. 600 members who are doing similar things with you. I also do weekly updates, so I condense 60 hours of research and compress it into 2 minutes of reading with my weekly updates and show you what's worth your time and what's pure hype, right? And basically what that's about is saving you time so you can be as productive as possible and avoid information overload, right? So if you only have like 40 minutes a week to catch up with this stuff, read that inside the AI Profit Boarding. You can also jump on weekly coaching calls, as you can see right here. You can connect with people inside the map, so you can see who's in your local community and area and DM and meet them and that sort of thing. You can also get all of my best trainings inside the classroom. So for example, you can go from beginner to expert with AI automation with this course and learn how to build your first AI agent in under 5 minutes. If you want to learn more stuff about OpenClaw, you can just type it in the chat here inside the search bar and learn as much as you want. You see all these different trainings on it. We actually have tons and tons of training like you can see. Also, inside the classroom here, you can get my best playbooks that I personally use for my business. So automating avatar videos and Instagram and shorts and newsletters and Twitter and everything else. And additionally, you can get the new daily updates inside this section. So all the video notes from today are inside there, along with, for example, new stuff on like testing out Star Office UI or Perplexity Skills or KiloClaw or whatever comes out each day, right? I just test it out, share and create a video tutorial along with a step-by-step guide on exactly how to use it. Additionally, you can learn how to get more clients for the agency course. You can watch about the coaching calls over here. You can learn how to rank #1 with AI SEO, and you can learn how to grow a YouTube channel based on what's working for me with AI, as you can see. And if you're wondering, like, are people getting results of this? How's it going? Blah, blah, blah. So you can actually see that we have over 135 pages of testimonials and wins, like you can see. So people just getting awesome stuff, awesome results, like you can see over here. So if you want to learn, if you want to get great wins, if you want to join a supportive, helpful community that's full of positivity, then feel free to join the AI Profit Boarding. Link in the comments description, or just go to the AIProfitBoarding.com, and I hope to see you inside there.